does finally. The Warren gives him no space. Oh, he's sideways. He's very, very sideways. A very good evening to you wherever you're watching around the country or indeed the world. This is round 9 of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. Once again, live from Sydney, a different version of the circuit tonight. We can't wait to bring you all the action. My name is Stairs and it is my pleasure to welcome back Madbird to the commentary box.
Thank you very much, Stairs. We are here at the Druitt Park version of the Sydney Motorsports Park track. And yeah, it's been a little while. Thank you for Michael for subbing in for me last time out, but I am very excited to be back in the commentary box with you, my good friend Stairs, to talk about some cars going quickly.
Oh, they're going to go quickly, and if last week's action is anything to go by, we are in for a real treat, especially around this little bull ring. Let's have a quick look at the points situation heading into this round, and Kurt Stenberg with one hand on that championship cup now holds an advantage of more than 300 points, which is the crucial number. He could miss an entire round and still be in the lead, even if Zach Baker were to win all of those races. Benjamin Daly are doing well, moving up into 3rd place. Colin Warwick displaced from that position down into 4th. Brody Steen, good result last week. He is in 5th place. Then we've got Luke Rosella, RSM Latino, David Nedich, Lachlan Burke, and Steve Warwick rounding out the top 10. Good job from Steve getting up into the 10 there.
Yeah, absolutely. ZB Racing holding a commanding lead in the team's classifications over Blackshaws Racing, with Race on Oz down in 3rd. It's actually not that big of a gap between ZB and Race on Oz compared to what we thought. And Sean Allen is in tonight, so maybe we can see them start to close that up. It is a long way to go, though. Race on Oz number 2 in 4th, Trans-Tasman Racing in 5th, Synergy Sim Racing, Ultimate 9 Racing, Blackshaws RSM, the sister Blackshaws Racing team, All Australian Races, and Mute Sim Sports rounds out the top 10 for the teams.
Beautifully done, Manbird. Let's just quickly remind you of the calendar. That's not the calendar. I'll tell you what is the calendar, though. This is the calendar, which has been revised. This is our run to the end of this year. We are at Sydney 2. Next week, Super 2 only, which will be, I believe, broadcast on the main channel by Kurt and Colin. Although I might have just chucked them in it by saying that. They have been doing that.
Always entertaining.
They're always entertaining. And then we'll be back as Apex Rear Wing, the regular broadcast team, bringing you the 4th Sydney round, which is the next main series event in 2 weeks' time on the 23rd of November. All of the Sydney rounds being broadcast on a 1-day delay due to technical limitations at the moment. But we'll be back up and running for a live stream for the big one in December, the Bathurst 1000.
Absolutely stoked. It was an absolute blast last year, the Bathurst 1000 stream, and we can only hope that we can match or exceed what we did last year, Stairs.
Can't wait. Can't wait. That is going to be a big one. We're all excited for that one. Let's have a quick look at the racetrack as we head into qualifying for race 1. It is the short version of the Sydney Motorsport track at Sydney, at Eastern Creek. This is a track that we haven't used yet, and so the only basis that we have for times is based on the pre-qualifying event where Corey McFarlane set a 58.659. So far that's our benchmark. We're having three 22-lap races for tonight. They all have a compulsory pit stop. There's your pit delta time, roughly 45 seconds or so. So it'll be interesting to see what people do when they elect to take that pit stop, because it won't be so much limited by tyres as we have seen in the past, just because of the shorter distance of the races.
Yeah, very short little laps, under a minute, and I noticed that the sectors are not particularly evenly spread on this particular layout of the track. With Sector 2 basically being the shortcut chicane.
They haven't amended them from the long version of the track,
haven't.
have they?
So that second sector is going to be absolutely tiny. I'm seeing times fastest time we had for the second sector is 6 seconds, which is pretty bloody quick for a sector around a racetrack.
So you'll get a benchmark for the first sector, and then very quickly you'll get another benchmark for the second sector.
You have to be awake.
If you are awake, indeed.
If you're awake.
Exactly. So fastest time in the practice session set by Will Newell, one of the newcomers from last week. Didn't have particularly good races. Madbird got himself into a little bit of trouble with others. One of the other guys who did well in last week's round was Corey McFarlane, who is 5th at the moment based on the practice time. So good to see these new guys come in and immediately set a cracking old pace.
Yeah, so Corey looks like his practice time was about 2/10 slower than Will Newell, so pretty tight up there at the top. And I know that he had a win last round when I wasn't here, and there's a few more names that I'm not familiar with, so you'll have to bear with me as I probably stumble over a few of these.
Well, you and me both. I've had 1 week's head start on you, but look at them all making their way out into the pit lane. It is going to be an absolute melee. 5 minutes were the qualifying sessions we had last week. We've got a luxurious, in comparison, 10 minutes for tonight.
Back in my day, our qualifying sessions were 5 minutes and we liked it. And we had no idea what we were doing. That's a very colourful car, it must be said.
That is Brendan Ross, who currently is the leading car on track on this outlap. So we've got 4 of the Ultimate 9 cars that we had last week. I'm just looking at the timing screen. We've got Hans Brunswick, we've got Lewis Wedding, we've got Brendan Ross, but I cannot see Rhodey as yet in this session. So just the 3 Ultimate 9 cars so far. Good to see them coming up there. We saw they've made it into the top 10 in the Teams Championship, but they can only have 2. They have to elect who their 2 are, because otherwise it's unfair if you've got 3 people accruing points for teams versus other teams who only have 2 cars. So the 2 accruing points for Ultimate 9 Racing 1 is Lewis Wedding and Hans Brunswick, as Brendan Ross crosses the line to start his qualifying lap.
Headlights ablaze, saying, I'm on a quick lap, get out of my way. And it looks as if he's going to have a pretty clear run. There's no one on an outlap ahead of him. Oh, as he locks up a little bit going into the hairpin. Shouldn't have given him too much trouble there. Shouldn't have wiped off too much speed. Although that slide didn't probably help with his rear grip at all. As he heads on down towards this shortcut, which is, as you were saying before the broadcast, fairly obvious where the track usually goes.
Yes.
It looks a little bit like they're breaking the game map somewhat, but that is the intended course to take.
Yeah, quite a hairy run through the shortcut. Fair bit of undulation, and it doesn't really look like it was intended for the track to go that way at all when it was first built. So we're going to very quickly get a benchmark from Brendan Ross. He's going to come across the line to set our first time. And will he be under the 1 minute mark? That is a pretty good mark if he can. He does indeed do that, a 59.894 for Brendan Ross. Here's the last race winner in this series, Corey McFarlane, coming across the line. What can he muster? It is a 58.8, which is enough for second place because Will Newell has got provisional pole.
Yeah, jumped straight to the top has Will Newell, as he was in practice. And Luke Rosella, 0.6 of a second down as well. Ed Boggs, another name I'm not familiar with. Brody Steen has managed to hop himself up into 3rd place after some solid results last round, so he's continuing that on for Race on Oz. Interested to see how Sean Allen does in his return, as he's taken quite a bit of... I mean, we've all taken a bit of time off, but he took a bit of a sabbatical even before then. So
fantastic to see him back, though.
Absolutely is.
Good to see
one of my favourite drivers.
A strong Race on Oz contingent here, with, of course, Benjamin Daly and Alex Cattle also part of the Race on Oz stable. Alex Cattle racing just under the single name moniker of Alex, currently in 7th place.
On your Alex.
Luke Rosella, who's just been dropped to 5th. He was on a personal best lap, though, so let's see if he can improve. He goes to 3rd place, with Corey retaking 1st place from Will Newell in the few moments that we were off board from him, and Kurt Stenberg just about to start his qualifying lap. The champion-elect, if nothing horrible goes wrong for him, he really just has to circulate for the next few rounds, and I think what he does want is this wrapped up before Bathurst so he can have a real tilt at that.
Yeah, he's as we've discussed at length earlier in the season, that number 1 last season was a bit of a curse for him. and since he's gone back to the 47, he seems to have had a lot better luck. He hasn't had it entirely unopposed. He's had some decent scraps with other drivers, but he is definitely by far and away, as we said during the drivers' points, he's a win ahead of Zach Baker at this stage.
Who has never won a race.
No, heartbreakingly.
He's come close a few times, but and he's had the pace, just hasn't all come together for him. There's been, there's not many opportunities, especially in races past where we've had the Warren brothers and Thomas McMillan have been very strong. Not here for a good portion of this year. We hope that some of those guys might make their way back for the Bathurst 1000. Let's see what Kurt Stenberg can do. It's inside the 1 minute mark. He goes into 4th place, the 58.8.
Not too bad, but only good enough for 4th, as you said. With Corey, Will Newell and Luke Rosella ahead of him. Brody Steen nipping at his heels. Hans Brunswick in the top 10. Good to see.
And also good to see Termo in 9th place, so inside
very
the top
good.
10. Have you seen Colin Warwick?
I haven't.
I've seen Steve Warwick on
He
track.
isn't actually in the server that I can see, and we have... I'm pretty sure he was, and he's dropped out, because we did have 22 runners, and we're now down to 21, so maybe he's been having some technical issues.
So hopefully
He's
can
definitely
resolve those
around.
Quickly. Bit of a jump there for the server. It's just happened on both of our screens, so we did see a little bit of that last year, but then last week, when the server glitched a couple of times, but it was reset and we didn't have any issues again for the rest of the night, which was good. So Zach Baker's on a personal best lap here. The traffic jumps out of the way. Hopefully didn't cost him too much time. He's up by half a second on his own personal best, which has him currently sat in 8th, and that should vault him up about 3 or 4 spots from where he currently sits. Second in the championship as it stands, and in the standings for qualifying, he goes up to 5th place. So he lost a little bit of time through the final sector there.
Kurt's managed to jump himself up into 2nd, a 10th and a little bit behind Corey. It doesn't look like he's going to improve on this particular lap as he hangs it out sideways through the shortcut, chasing behind one of the Ultimate 9 drivers there. And we now have 23 runners in the service.
Benjamin
Still no Colin Warwick.
Kobe Williams has just made it 24.
My
So
goodness.
quite a full server that we've got. Let's hope that it can handle the extra numbers that we're throwing at it.
Cross fingers.
Quite a few people that we're not seeing on the pre-qualifying list. So if we do reach capacity, 1 or 2 of those guys might get cut. Might
not make the cut.
They might not make the cut. So Kurt Stenberg's back in the pits, and he's been dropped back down to 3rd by Will Newell. So a very close battle there between Corey and Will Newell for 1st and 2nd in this qualifying
It's going to
session.
be very exciting if that carries on into the race.
So absolutely, Will Newell's just gone back to the pits. Corey on a lap, it appears, so he's currently in provisional pole. Looks like he's on a cool down lap at the moment, a measly 7.6 mil sector for him. Well, actually not a cool down lap, because he goes across the line. Should be watching the screen, not the timing. So that's 15 seconds adrift, so I'm not sure why he continued on with that lap personally.
That was a very well held slide through turn 1 there for Corey.
Will Newell just sliding his way out of the pit lane.
Oh, very good. And we're within 2.5 minutes now of the end of this qualifying session. So anyone who's wanting to get out there and set a last hot lap who's currently in the pits, there's only the one car in the pits at the moment, which is Dane Liccardo. Everyone else is circulating. It's nice to see a full grid or a full track map of cars, must be said.
Well, it means you don't really know where to look.
That's very true.
I don't know what Corey is doing. He's circulating, and now he's just sort of, maybe he's trying to find some space. I think that's what he's doing. Didn't want to go back into the pits. That's Will Newell behind him.
Very aggressive tire warming strategies from Will Newell in the distance.
Good mates apparently, Corey and Will Newell. We spoke to Corey post race last week after he won the race, and they actually got into a bit of a tangle with each other in the first race, and that was not intentional. They did not want to do that at all. So we thought there might be some fiery words said after that, but it was all apologies.
Oh, very good. And now it's all game faces and squabbling over pole position.
Tell you what, Will Newell does need is a livery.
He does.
Currently running the blank guest livery. He's got his name on him,
Come on, Will.
but he doesn't have the painted colours yet, denoting a livery.
Just grab a picture of Will from in between us, spread it up to, you know, 2000 by 2000 pixels and put it on the template. See how that comes out.
Where's Sean Allen? He's down in 13th, so hasn't managed to find too much pace in his return thus far. But he was never... Qualifying wasn't his strong suit. It was always the race itself that he tended to shine, I think.
Very much so. That last sequence of corners, the track limits are just non-existent. It always made me laugh when we'd race here.
The Kota line, as they say. Will Newell comes across the line and doesn't look like he's... Well, looks like track limits was a thing there because he didn't register a time. So this will be his last attempt. Corey's currently spinning. So
right
that's
in front
going
of
to be
Will
his...
Newell.
Oh! That was fun.
Oh my goodness.
So
well,
he's done that.
That may have put off Will Newell just a little bit. We'll have to keep an eye on his sector times.
Just going to catch a replay of Corey. So through turn 1, yeah, he understeered and then got on the grass. And while we're looking at replay there, it looks like Corey's jumped out of the server, so it's gone to the next car. So
just in disgust at himself. So, no more sectors from Will Newell, so it doesn't look like he's continued his... Oh, wait, no. It has just updated. And I don't know if he actually managed to improve his lap or not, because obviously Corey's left the server.
Yeah, did he improve his lap or... 58.5 was his last lap, so that wasn't faster than what he had already done from Will Newell, so it wouldn't have been enough to jump up into pole position. But I wonder, will he keep the pole position if he wasn't in the server when the server ended? Because if they jump out, then their tyre allocation gets reset, and they're strictly speaking not supposed to do that, because then they need to not get a new set of tyres, because each time you jump back into the server you get a new set of tyres, and that's technically cheating based on the rules.
That could easily be taken advantage of. Not that we're saying that's what he has done, just that is... it could all be very innocent and he just had a crash.
So very unofficial thus far, but when he looks like he's jumped back into the server just before he in there, Corey. So 58.2 is the pole time, unofficial of course. And if that stands, he will start on the front row with Will Newell alongside him. Kurt Stenberg and Luke Rosella will occupy the second row of the grid, and then a great job to another newcomer to this series, Ed Boggs, who starts out of 5th place from Zach Baker, who got up to 6th. Brody Steen, podium sitter, 2nd place in the last race in Sydney. And then we've got Hans Brunswick, Brendan Ross, and Alex Cattle rounding out the top 10.
Sean Allen in 11th, which, as you say, we're usually used to seeing him perform in the race rather than in qualifying, so I expect him to climb up the ranks somewhat.
Predictions, Mad Bird?
I predict an absolute cracker of a battle at the top with Corey Will Newell, Kurt Stenberg, and Luke Rosella at the very least. And it doesn't look like Ed Boggs is particularly slow either, or Zach Baker for that matter. And Brody Steen we know can be quite quick. So really, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a good tangle for the top 6 places. I'm very much looking forward to it. Yourself, Stairs?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I predict another first-time winner. I reckon Will Newell's a good chance. It didn't all come together for him last week, but I think with these short sprint races, this should serve him well. I don't think... Well, I'd never write out Kurt Stenberg, of course, but at this point, I reckon he'll win one race tonight, but I think he's just happy to take home the points. He doesn't want any DNFs or anything, and frankly, if he finishes ahead of Zach Baker, that's a win for him, because he's just going to be extending that championship lead, and if he keeps that above 300 points going into Bathurst, then that just gives him the freedom to throw everything at the final round.
Absolutely.
So we're just in a warm-up session at the moment, so we'll bring you live pictures as most of the cars elect to stay in the pits, but we've got a handful, maybe 6 or so, just circulating at the moment. We haven't seen Alex Cattle tonight. Here he is right now. The other cars that we have got on track are those of Cameron Parrott, Benjamin Dahlia, Zach Baker, Ed Boggs, and Will Newell.
Getting a last minute bit of practice in. And by last minute, I do mean last minute. There is 37 seconds left in the session.
So got Hans Brunswick looking like he's practicing a race start at the end of the pit lane. So that is a very
Good idea.
wise thing for Hans to do there. In the Ultimate 9099 card, the numbers are all 9s and 6s and 099s and 999s, and we'll have to see if
Sticking with the theme.
Exactly. It is Ultimate 9 Racing. And he's got his name on him as well. The Hans device logo on the rear wing end plate for Hans Brunswick. Alex
device.
Cattle also doing a race start practice on the actual race grid.
Very smooth start by the looks of it. A little bit of smoke.
It's always hard to compare when you've got no one else
It
to
really
compare
is.
with.
Man, that was a very smooth, very clean start. Oh, yeah, it was smooth and clean, but it wasn't particularly quick.
It's going to do another one. They do say smooth is fast and fast is smooth and all those sorts of things, don't they?
What is it? Smooth is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. No. Smooth is clean, clean is fast.
Benjamin
Something
Daly
like
are doing the same thing. Let's see how he compares at a different part of the racetrack.
Oh, that was
I think
very...
he bogged it.
He did,
bogged
yeah.
it there.
Yeah, better to have your second chance in warm-up there, Benjamin.
Madbird, I was at a wedding on the weekend,
Yes.
and the DJ, who looked like Crocodile Dundee with a ponytail,
Very good.
sat us down about an hour too early, while the bride and groom were off getting their photos done. You know, and everyone else is sort of milling about waiting for the reception.
Mm.
And so he sat us down too early, and to his credit, he admitted that he sat us down. He said, look, guys, I've stuffed up, I sat you down too early. So I'm going to tell you a story. And he had a captive audience. Decided to go on about how he had got the car bogged on the way up to the chapel.
Excellent.
Let's have a quick look at the race details, the racetrack details, before we head into race 1. This is Sydney Motorsport Park, a 2.8 kilometre version of this anti-clockwise circuit. This first sector is pretty much unchanged from the original circuit that we did last week, but then we have the, well, what are we calling it? The shortcut. Or turn 4A. That should say turn 4B because it doesn't make sense for it to say turn 5B. Anywho. And then into the final sector, which is
Turn 16,
unchanged.
17 and 18.
So we cut out quite a few corners here, and as a result, we've got a sub 1 minute lap time.
Absolutely. It's and a very confusing sequence of corners. So I reckon we're gonna call it the turn 1, the hairpin, the shortcut, and the last corners.
And what's happened is we've actually rolled back into another warm-up session by the looks of it. So there'll be another couple of minutes. They must be sorting something out in the server to get the grid ready for race 1, because we've rolled from one warm-up session directly into another one. So the hype, which was real, is just put on a hold, and let's just simmer it down.
Well, how about you continue the story? How did he manage to get his car bogged?
Well,
was it a particularly interesting anecdote?
It was one of those areas. Have you ever been to Chapel Hill?
Chapel Hill.
This is the venue. This is a winery off McLaren Vale, not too far north of it.
Yes, yeah, Chapel Hill Winery. Yeah.
So there's like a separate part of it where they do weddings and stuff, and there's like this sort of one road in, and there's a sign that if you miss it, you can quite easily go the wrong way. There's like where the trade entrance is, and then there's the guests entrance. And the trade entrance sort of goes off, and you're supposed to turn one way, and then the road that you're on actually becomes a footpath, which has actually got a fairly soft clay kind of. It's not meant to be a road, and isn't meant to have cars on it. And that's what he did.
That's where he went.
And he called the RAA, but then some guy pulled him out. Some guy who was a guest of the wedding and was sitting at the table next to me.
Oh, very good.
So he got a shout out.
Excellent.
And then then they said, raise your glasses for the happy couple who's arrived, and no one had any glasses because they're supposed to say charge your glasses first. No one had charged their glasses.
So it was a little bit of a shambles.
Of empty, there's like bottles of wine there, or like, do we pour them ourselves, or are the wait staff going to do that, or like, it was a shambles.
Excellent.
But it was a beautiful wedding.
Excellent. That's the important bit.
But just Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee with a ponytail.
Yes.
Very good. We ordered a coffee table. and it was out of stock on the web, or like it was no longer appearing on the website, and we had our heart set on this coffee table, so we rang the company Lounge Lovers, and apparently it just goes to any lounge lovers in the country, because we just called the general Lounge Lovers hotline, and this gruff voice answers and says, "Lounge Lovers Waterloo, this is Steve." And we're like, "Hello."
Where's Waterloo?
It's in New South Wales, apparently.
All right.
And
that's what Napoleon lost?
couldn't escape if he wanted to.
Far out.
And we said, "Oh, yeah, we're after." It's called the Magic Coffee Table, and we're like, "Oh, we're after this." And he's like, "What?" We said, "We're after the Magic Coffee Table." "Oh yeah, love that thing. You can have a party on that thing."
It's not what a coffee table's for, anyway.
This is a very, like, we weren't expecting. I don't know how you in your mind expect a call to a company about ordering a coffee table to go, but that was not how we expected it to go.
No, I can't imagine.
We ended up getting it. There was one left in stock at the Sydney depot or something, but he was just incredibly. He was the most Australian man I've ever spoken to in my life, and very gruff, but friendly. Very
I
friendly.
suppose it works in where he actually is in this country.
Where he is in this country.
So it looks like the server now has rolled back into a race session. We can see the lap counter up. The cars are loading up in their garages, so it doesn't look like we're too far away from a race start there, Madbird.
Absolutely. Got to get out of the habit of saying that again. So we've got all of the cars will be heading to the grid in just a few moments as we await the race start, or possibly not. The timer has now clicked back to 2 minutes again.
That's a shame.
So we may now...
Oh dear. Who's that? Is that Will Newell? Looks like one of the cars has driven directly into...
And a few people tried to dodge him, but he was already gone.
Back to his garage. It looks like some of the cars are occupying garages with other cars in them because they're glitching in and out of them.
Oh dear. I think we had that issue at Apex Rear Wing and there was no fix for it.
Well, we had this number of cars last week and we didn't have this issue.
Although it depends on the car itself. Like they're assigned to a particular grid box, or grid garage.
Yeah, there's just one. Just behind where Hans Brunswick's car is there, just glitching.
Just jittering, doing the jitterbug. I think it might be Alex Cattle. Yep.
Is that Alex Cattle's? Yeah.
I recognise the black and red of the front of that Race on Oz car.
At the moment, it looks like the only one, and he's jumped out of the garage. So.
Is there anyone else in the garage?
No one else glitching. There's lots of other cars in garages.
No, but in his garage.
Well, there is someone behind. It looked like the front of Brody Steen's car, perhaps. Let's see if we can find.
How bizarre!
Vision.
How bizarre! To quote a popular pop song.
Well, no, Brody Steen's car seems quite stable where it's currently sat. Doesn't mean it wasn't before.
Stable as a coffee table.
That you can have a party on.
Exactly.
So you can see Aidan Sykes' car there in the foreground. He's in 22nd. I don't know if he actually qualified. I just might bring up the results so we can...
With an auditing company as his livery. Not something you usually see.
Might be his employer.
Very true. I used to have the council that I work at on my liveries.
He did actually send a time. He did a 1 minute .338, just ahead of Nathan Higginson. So we had 23 cars qualify, and currently in the server, we have less than that. Actually, no, we have more than that.
We have more than that.
It's gone up since.
We have the complete opposite of less than that.
Harris Sengel has joined us.
Harris Sengel.
And I'm just wondering if we're just at capacity and this is causing this server to just keep indefinitely rolling through. Here's someone doing some donuts or something. Oh, I think it's someone in their garage.
I can see some smoke billowing out of someone's garage.
I think it was probably Nathan Higginson, who is trying to warm his tyres a little bit on the exit.
He's got Adobe on just above his rear wheel there.
And Autodesk on his bonnet.
Yep.
So a multimedia specialist. His handle on Discord is keep all your work backed up, kids. something along those lines.
He does a lot of livery work.
Very,
doesn't
very
he?
good advice. He does do a lot of very good livery work.
Was it him that was doing? And he was. I remember when I was back when I was in Australian sim racing, or Australasian sim racing rather. Every now and then there'd be a post from someone about a massive, 80s vintage Bathurst mod that he was doing and doing liveries for all of the cars and stuff, and I feel like that was him.
Might well have been. Yes, it's definitely done quite a bit of work. So we're going to have another go. We've reset the 2-minute timer, so whatever technical gremlins are happening...
Thank God I'm here.
They appear to still be happening. So I'm just trying to see on the Discord if there's any news as to what's happening. Nothing seems to be... nothing recent, at least, on the Discord channels. Most of the technical issues prior to tonight were to do with series mismatches. Quite a few people needing to get up to speed with all of the liveries and series files they needed for this mod, which is exclusive to competitors of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. So what is actually happening tonight is a little bit of a mystery to us right now.
Well, there's one thing we're good at, Stairs.
It's filling.
It's filling.
Yeah, I didn't know I needed to rush my story about old mate Crocodile Dundee, the DJ.
I'm trying to think if I've got a good story to tell. Me and Mel bought a mirror for my mum for Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
And she asked me to return it because we weren't particularly happy with it. And I said, oh yeah, I reckon that's a job I could see myself doing.
And did you?
It's a mirror. Could see yourself doing.
I thought you were actually telling.
No, goodness me,
I was like,
no.
yeah, your mum probably would ask you to return a mirror.
No,
I don't want to see myself.
She wouldn't ask me to return it. She'd pretend that she loved it, and then it would mysteriously not appear in the house after that.
Oh, I see.
No, my life has been remarkably dull since last we commentated. I can't think of any.
This wedding that I went to on the weekend,
it
it was the exact same venue that another good friend of mine, a couple, got married almost a year to the date ago at that same exact venue. And that time there was this guy there called George, who I understand has lost his job since that wedding.
Oh dear.
Because he dropped stuff, he was rude to people, he was a piece of work, as one of my good friends described him.
Yeah, and is now no longer working there.
And this good friend went to they have like a brunch the day after the wedding with the sort of like bridesmaids and groomsmen and all that sort of stuff.
The people that don't really get to enjoy the party.
Basically. And so I was told that at the brunch, George was there and he was in fine form. So it continued beyond the wedding night into the day after the wedding.
Goodness me.
So good on you, George.
On you, George.
I thought he was good value, but admittedly I had a few wines.
And you weren't paying him.
No, I wasn't paying him at all.
I'm sure. Surely, I assume if you were putting down probably hundreds of dollars for service, and that service was being done slipshod, you would be less than appreciative.
I thought it was very, very interesting that George was not in attendance this weekend. I was like, oh, okay, maybe the rumours are true.
You should have asked someone.
I should have. Oh dear.
Oh my god.
Baker's car is just...
He's needed to go. I'm going back. My home planet needs me.
Beam me up, Jimmy.
As we're going into another 2-minute warm-up session. I've never actually been to a wedding, personally.
Never?
Nope. Never been to a wedding, never been to a funeral. Although, at the rate my nana continues to insist that she's about to die, that second one may soon prove inaccurate.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know how to respond to that.
She's very philosophical and cheerful about the whole thing, so I'm not particularly upset about it.
In South Australia?
Yeah,
The thing is, if my gran died now, I probably wouldn't be able to get to the funeral.
When are borders meant to open?
2 weeks from now.
Okay. How long do you usually have a funeral after someone dies?
I don't know. But my mum probably wouldn't go even because there's a lot of her family who isn't vaccinated, and she's actually quite...
oh dear.
She's quite vulnerable.
Immunosuppressed?
Well, she's in her 70s and she's a smoker and an asthmatic. And
That's about the best cocktail of COVID assistance you could possibly have.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a bit worrying. A bit worrying. I mean,
Well,
it's not a surprise, but anyway. Not to make this political. Looks like they got a bumper cars going on.
there is a bit of bumping going on. Oh my goodness.
Nathan Higginson enjoying a bit of bump and rub. Well, it's bump and run.
Bit of bump and rub.
Everyone else has run away.
Yeah, because he's like, do you want a bit of bump and rub? And they're like, no, no, thank you, Nathan. We've said no.
Well, so let's wait and see now.
Alright.
I've jumped the gun a little bit early on announcing the start of a race a couple of times now, but we have the graphic up there with the lap counter. It says 1 out of 22, and I'm keeping my beady eyes fixed on that to make sure it doesn't change. Mad Bird. We've already shown you the track, so we won't give you the map again.
Yeah,
we will give it to you later on.
It's simple as piss. Turns
race
1,
two.
2, 3, shortcut, and end sector.
So let's just hope that we can load all of our 20... We've got currently 22 cars in the server.
I reckon that's the sweet spot. I think more than 22, and the server starts to have a bit of a sad, as we would say.
We can have more. It's track specific sometimes.
Well, there's a bunch of cars out on the grid,
which is good news.
That is very good news.
That's further than we've got before. So here is Corey. You can see him lined up.
He is indeed just in front of the Sydney.com. I was trying to read that backwards.
We're waiting for Will Newell still. He's not.
It's like, what is wok? Wok.
Oh no.
Oh,
We've lost them from our grid, and we've gone back to
into a 2-minute warm-up session. Very good.
Madbird, your guess is equal to or better than mine.
Very good. Very good. Well, you know, we take a bit of time off, but it's good to see that some things don't change, and one of those things being automobilistas in general fairly, you know, I won't say shoddy,
but you mean it.
But I mean it.
So just scanning the Discord channels for any information. None is forthcoming, Madbird.
No. None indeed. As you said, there were some people asking about some technical issues earlier on, about an hour ago, but those seem to have been resolved.
People talking about track limits as well, which is can be a bit of an issue. We did see that. So I'm just now having a look at the in-game chat, which is just showing that the administrators are being manually moved to their spots.
Grid was wrong, I'm seeing.
6 times? Maybe... it might be that they've got on top of the issue, it's just that the grid was wrong, so whatever was causing it before, when we kept rolling through, was something else. So Aiden Sykes was getting vehicle collision mismatches, so was Kobe Williams, so I'm wondering, those guys are not currently in the server, so we're down to 21. Oh no, now we're back up to... It goes 21 and then 23 as Corey's joined the server. There's no 22nd
There is no
place,
22.
but there are 22 cars in the server currently. As you said, Madbird, potentially that was the sweet spot.
I reckon it is. I reckon we've had that issue before, and we sort of came to the conclusion that 22 would be the sweet spot. I see they've just moved Nathan Higginson to position 23, which is problematic if there's only 22 cars, although there's 23 cars in the server itself.
It might be the live timing.
The live timing is a bit
erroneously
behind,
showing us 22 cars. So it looks like we're back into a race session as it stands, which has been advanced by Kurt Stenberg, who's adminning.
Do you hear this? That's me knocking on wood.
Come in. Whoop. What's going on?
Turning around to open the door. Humorously.
They can't see that. You don't have to actually do
and instead I nearly yanked the microphone out of its holster.
But you didn't.
But I didn't.
You didn't.
Right. We have cars on the grid. We're missing a few, but that's normal.
I think missing a few is okay when we've got such an embarrassment of riches. We have so many cars in this race, which is fantastic to see. So Corey McFarlane on the right of your screen there. Will Newell will occupy the space alongside him.
I
I don't know why I'm saying this because I'm about to go through the grid when they do their warm-up lap.
I reckon we're missing about 3 of them. We're missing about 2 of them. We're missing about 1 of them. Well, someone's missed the start,
He's missed his start, and I'm sure we'll find out who that is.
Oh, Lord. And Luke Rosella has not moved off the grid.
He's not awake, and...
There is a queue forming.
He's got going. He's got going, and so too has Zach Baker. So let's get through the grid, because it's only a 50-second lap.
Oh, that's very true.
So we've got Corey, who is in pole position, so very well done to Corey. He will start with Will Newell alongside him, the 2 newcomers. Kurt Stenberg, the champion-elect, out of 3rd place from Luke Rosella, who's he's trying to overtake positions to get back up to where he qualified before the end of this lap. Ed Boggs out of 5th place, has Zach Baker for company. Then we got Brody Steen in a rich vein of form at the moment in 7th place. Hans Brunswick missed the start, so he'll start from the pit lane.
It's a shame.
Big shame there. His teammate Brendan Ross out of 9th place with Alex Cattle in 10th. Then it's Sean Allen, who qualified 11th from Termo in 12th. Dane Liccardo, who didn't make any friends last week. Let's see if he can race a bit cleaner tonight out of 13th. Lachlan Burke will start 14th. Another of the All-Australian races stable there, at least thankfully for us, with a different livery. With Napa car. Benjamin Dahlia out of 15th place. Uncharacteristically low down in the qualifying for him. Ben Hall will start 16th. And then we've got Lewis Wedding out of 17th. Didn't think he'd make qualifying, but he did. David Nenadich in 18th. And then we've got Steve Warwick, Cameron Parrott, RSM Latino, and Will Newell down there in 22nd showing. That's unusual.
He is in 2nd, however.
Yes, so that's
how bizarre.
A bit of bizarre. Something strange for the game. Nathan Higginson rounds out a grid of 23 cars. My goodness, I'm looking forward to this one.
I am as well. How strange.
Yeah, it's been unusual, fair to say. So
but,
we've got cars out of position.
Oh my goodness.
There's Ed Boggs is reversing to try and get back to his spot for some
So was Kurt
reason.
Stenberg. Kurt had gotten right up the arse of Corey.
And we have that gap. That's where Hans Brunswick should have been, about 4 cars back on the left-hand side of the grid. So he will start from the pit lane. So the lights are on. The revs are rising. The clutches drop and off they go. It looked like a pretty even start from the front 2, maybe marginally better for Corey. Let's have a look at them as they run down. Look at Kurt Stenberg up the inside. He's going to make it 3 wide. Will Newell's going to try and dive back up the inside, but it's Kurt Stenberg who's got the whole shot into the first corner, but very late on the brakes is Corey McFarlane trying to go around the outside. That'll give him the inside for the next corner, and it is a absolutely titanic struggle at the front. Someone's in the fence in the back of that shot.
Yeah, we saw a yellow flag flashing. Corey has had to relinquish that, and Will Newell slips through into 2nd place. So Corey down into 3rd from his pole position start. That ain't great, but they are nuts to butts there between 1st and 4th, with Ed Boggs just right behind Corey, and Will Newell right on the back of Kurt Stenberg as they go into the last sequence for the first time.
Well, Will Newell's going to have a look up the inside of the final corner, but he gets his wheels up on the curb and has a little bit of a moment. And Kurt Stenberg holds on to it for now. Not sure who that person was in the fence at the back earlier on.
Maybe Termo. He's down in 21st.
We'll have to catch up with that. Hans Brunswick 20 seconds behind, having started on the pit lane.
Yeah, so Corey flings it in, as we can see, chasing through turn 1, which is a dangerous turn at the best of times, but definitely when you've got a slipstream that you're not used to having. And these guys are absolutely bump drafting each other through a corner. Not the bump you want to bump draft through a corner, but they are touching all the way through, and there is very little space, tenths of a second separating all of these drivers, if that, as they go into the shortcut. And you see that huge bump, just you could rattle your teeth, as Will Newell's up the inside of Kurt Stenberg, going into the last sequence of corners. Kurt's going to try to hang up the inside, but he is not able to, and Will Newell manages to sneak through and into the lead. Kurt Stenberg in the inside of the last corner. Will Newell will have a better run with the wider line, but Kurt Stenberg is right on the back of him. Now they're bump drafting as Kurt Stenberg goes for the inside for turn 1, which is always can always end up being a bit of an airplane crash. That looked like a bit of a dangerous move from Will Newell stairs.
Looked like almost 2 cars were going to go through there. Oh,
Corey!
Corey's out of it. Corey is out of it. So that is hugely unlucky for Corey. as was the battle still going on, as is that Ed Boggs making his way past through Kurt Stenberg. So very racy in these early stages of the race. So Corey has dropped down. Will Newell has... There's 2 Will Newells in this race for some reason. That's why I was so confused. I think one of them must be another account of his. So Will Newell has DNF'd and Will Newell is leading.
It's split fortunes for the 2 Will Newells.
Yeah, but the one on screen is by far the happier of the 2 Will Newells. And
Yes.
a Newell thing going on here is Luke Rosella is making his way past Ed Boggs. They're side by side coming down the main straight with Luke Rosella just edging his nose in front, but the live timing was showing Ed Boggs in front. Now it is Luke Rosella. He'll have the inside for the next corner, and he has the fastest lap of the race. Kurt Stenberg with the watching brief behind. He's been fourth, first, second. Zach Baker is going past him for that position there. So Kurt Stenberg is all at sea right now. He's getting mugged.
He is indeed. This is a absolute gaggle of very quick cars. Luke Rosella... Oh,
He's out of it! Luke Rosella spun out!
He copped a bump, I reckon, from Zach Baker going through turn 3, and that was enough to send him into the wall.
And off goes Ed Boggs. Very, very wide into the boonies, or maybe that's his natural line. Goodness gracious me.
Maybe it is a Newell line.
Meanwhile, Will Newell has a second in hand over all these guys, as Zach Baker, who has found some pace, it has to be said, puts Ed Boggs under quite a bit of pressure. Corey has a drive-through penalty, so I can only assume that is for speeding in the pit lane, because he's just at the exit of the pit lane right now.
Yeah,
so he's about to get lapped.
He is.
Actually, not too far. I think the live timing has a bit of a delay for us.
But
that was a bit rude from Ed Boggs.
A little bit rude. Zach did very well to pull it up there with that extra bit of propulsion that he received on the rear bumper.
All right, we've got a lot of replays to catch up on. This is the one... Whoa, this is the... Wow.
I mean, you know, still apt.
Here we go. This is the one from the first lap. And so there's actually quite a lot going on here, so we'll try and...
My goodness.
Try and replay that. But
So
basically from the helicopter shot, you see
God.
the... Sean Allen and the Ultimate 9 car, I think that's Brendan Ross, and then the Concertina. There's nowhere to go for all these people, and Termo, you're right, he was the one who paid the biggest price for that, because he was off into the fence and all the way back to all but last place with Hans Brunswick behind him at that stage.
Meanwhile, back to live, we've just seen Kurt Stenberg overtake Ed Boggs for 3rd place. Zach Baker still in 2nd, about 0.5 of a second behind Will Newell. And looks like it's all settled down a little bit now. Everyone's sort of spread out. There's a few car lengths of gap between cars, where before there was about, you know, a credit car's width of space between cars, as we're trying to scramble to get some more replays of these dramatic events that have happened so far in this race. We're only on lap 6 of 22. They're short laps, but my goodness, they've managed to fill them with some action for us. So it looks like Zach Baker is right on the back of Will Newell going through the last corner. So he is going to have a slipstream all the way down to turn 1. There it is. So Zach Baker getting a good slipstream on Will Newell all the way down into turn 1, and it's a bit awkward. And looked like he tried to turn in maybe just a moment too early. And he held out of it, which is probably the best idea, because now he can go down the inside at the hairpin. But Will Newell, incredibly well done, up the inside with a switchback.
Oh my goodness.
A little bit of a swapper, but they are now bump drafting once again down the sort of back straight and then through the shortcut any moment now.
Wow. Just as I said that Zach Baker has never won in a race in the Automobilista Supercars Championship, he has found race battling pace. Race win battling pace, potentially. We'll wait to see how this plays out. It's still very early stages, but just as the championship looks to be heading towards Kurt Stenberg, Zach Baker saying, well, not without a fight, it isn't.
Absolutely.
So that is the battle going on. We'll quickly just feed you this replay of Corey McFarlane and how he found his way out of this battle. And there was quite a lot of battles going on. And
looked like got a bit of help from Ed Boggs. Did quite well, actually, to save that, keep it out of the fence. In a nasty way, and it looks like Zach Baker's made that move through turn 1.
All right, so let's give you a replay of that. So he was drafting Will Newell all the way down the straight, and Will Newell was trying to crowd him out, trying to move him to the inside, but he left him a car's width and then went back to the racing line to try and get back there, and that's how he got the position.
And a little bit of a tap on the rear and a slide as well for Zach Baker, so he did very well. And while we were watching that replay, Will Newell's managed to get that position done again. So I think we might have to give up on...
Let's just stick with that one.
I think we're going to have to give up on providing these replays because things are just moving too quickly.
They are, but we want to know if Luke Rosella copped a hit that has spun him down to where he is currently in 8th place. David Nenad just got to drive through penalty, so it's very different fortunes for the two ZB guys and for Will Newell and his alter ego, Will Newell. Zach Baker goes down the inside at turn 1.
He does. And it's always a little bit awkward battling through turn 1 here because you either have to lift off and go for the inside or go... Oh! And he cops a shunt from Will Newell. Sends him right out.
Oh! And he nearly
flashes
crashes
the lights
into Brody Steen on his return to the racetrack. So that is hugely disappointing for Zach Baker, just as he was looking like he was on target for one of his best results. Let's see a replay of that one. Kurt Stenberg was very close in behind as well, wasn't he? And
just messy. That
was messy. We don't really like to see these sorts of battles being decided that way. There might have been more to that story that we weren't aware of, but the net result of that is Zach Baker back into 4th place and not that far off the lead still.
No, he can try to remount a charge, but that is incredibly frustrating for him.
One man who'll be remounting a charge is Kurt Stenberg.
Never mind.
Who goes into the pits directly after I say that.
As does Zach Baker, so...
Well, that's interesting. I'm very... Oh, Zach Baker. Very close behind him in the pit lane. So that is all kicking off. We might have a chance to show you this.
Oh, no.
What the heck?
I think Zach Baker and Kurt Stenberg share a pit slot. Oh, no.
That's absolutely ruining Zach Baker's race because it doesn't look like he's been able to get service.
Oh, no.
No, he's only just getting service now. So normally you can actually kind of side by side those pit boxes, but whether Zach Baker wasn't able to make that work or didn't know that, I don't know.
Oh, that's incredibly frustrating. That is a double dose of pain for Zach Baker. First the shunt, and now the issue in the pit box, and he is going to be well and truly out of that battle. That is very unfortunate.
This is a replay of Luke Rosella seeing he did. It looks like he hit Zach Baker, or maybe Zach Baker hit him. How people read that is, I think it's more opinion than anything else. So that was what put Luke Rosella out of that fight for the lead very, very early on in this race.
So, yeah, Zach Baker's lost 12 seconds through that pit stop shambles.
Now we've got a few more cars in the pits. Luke Rosella, Will Newell.
Ed Boggs.
And Ed Boggs, the same problem for Ed Boggs and Will Newell.
That was very rude from Ed Boggs. Just kept on shunting.
So Brody Steen leads the race. And what is going on? Will Newell spun in the pit lane. He's going backwards in the pit lane to retaliate. And that is a race ban.
Yeah, no, that is not on.
You can't do that.
I don't care how many clones you have.
It's not his fault. And he's crashed into... Who's that? Parrott.
Cameron Parrott.
Parrott was there first. That's no... I mean, yeah.
That's... the less attention we pay to that, the better.
At all. And he's ruining Parrott's race. Parrott has every mind to retaliate as well, but he probably won't because I'm sure he's not as frustrated as that, but still.
And we see Dane Liccardo pitting from 3rd. Something I wasn't expecting to say tonight.
And Dane Liccardo hasn't done anything stupid on this broadcast tonight. Which is more than I can say for a handful of other people. So, what else is going on in this race? Let's sort of... I'm just taking my jaw off the ground after that rather remarkable incident that I can't believe I've just witnessed.
Well, you know, there's also a drive-through penalty for Will Newell.
Because he took his pit lane speed limiter off to do that.
And in an ironic twist of fate, Will Newell is now in 22nd and has DNF'd along with his clone.
He was doing such a good job up until that point, but just because someone else shares a pit box, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you should retaliate. Like, I can understand more someone retaliating for something on track that is their fault, but just because you share a pit box. Like, what?
Whoop, as we see one of the Ultimate 9 drivers just completely missing turn 1 for managing to get it back on the track. Very well done to them. Sean Allen inherits the lead, which is a place that he hasn't been for quite a long time.
So he hasn't pit yet, of course. Who is the leading car who has made a pit stop? I'm going to say Kurt Stenberg.
I reckon Kurt Stenberg.
Because his closest battler was Will Newell.
And Zach Baker, who of course had his own pit issues.
Yeah, Zach Baker's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
To lose all that time, and he has every right to be frustrated as well.
So at the moment, yeah. So
It's
Sean
taken
Allen.
the sting out of this race, hasn't it?
It has a little bit. Sean Allen, Benjamin Hall. Have I? No, Ben Hall. Ah, that's close enough. Nathan Higginson, the 3 ahead of Kurt Stenberg yet to pit. Brody Steen, I believe.
Sean Allen's just in the pits now.
Brody Steen, I believe, has pit because he is a couple of seconds behind Kurt Stenberg, which was roughly equivalent to where they were before the pit stop cycle occurred. And Luke Rosella, same. Dane Liccardo is actually quite close to the leading battle as well. So
Yeah, so Dane Liccardo, and I feel bad because I sort of threw him under the bus before, because he did do a few things last week that were a bit unfriendly, but so far
that you could find no defense for.
This week we haven't seen much of him, but my hope is that he's got there cleanly, and I'm all about people redeeming themselves on this broadcast.
Well, the standings have just neatened themselves up because everyone is now unlapped because everyone has now pit except for Nathan Higginson,
who's currently leading the race, it has to be said. So good job from
Only
Nathan Higginson where he is currently.
only by 9 seconds, so that'll obviously dissipate once he pits.
But not generally a front-running driver, new to this series. So good that he's managed to stay close enough to be able to inherit the lead when the pit lane, when the pit strategies have sorted themselves out.
So once he pits, we've got Brody Steen about 1.5 seconds behind Kurt Stenberg as the lead battle.
Zach Baker is 12 seconds, no, 13 seconds behind Kurt Stenberg. That's how much time he lost.
He lost, yeah. It was about 12 seconds once he came out of the pits, so that is a cruel few couple of laps for Zach Baker. First receiving the shunt that took him out of first place, and then the pit stop issue. So
what has Nathan Higginson? This is
a
what
little bit
This
hairy.
is what he does, I'm told. Michael Zalavari, who knows him well as a driver, says this is the way that he drives. And,
as he's displaying for us now.
yeah, so it's not particularly a method of driving that keeps your tyres intact, and I would have thought that he'd want to duck into the pits to replace those tyres fairly swiftly, but he hasn't elected to do so, even though there's only 6 laps left after this one.
Reminds me of Brenton Foley's driving style, which is very, which appears to be very sideways a lot of the time, and yet somehow he finds speed through it, and always seems to be quite consistent, and not too many accidents, despite the fact that he's often stamping on the loud pedal, as it were. So now a second splitting Kurt Stenberg and Brody Steen. So Brody Steen actually starting to reel that in, which is nice to see.
Yeah, so the last lap for Kurt Stenberg was a 59.5, and Brody Steen took 0.4 of a second out of that, which was his personal best lap for this race. So Brody Steen on target for his second podium in the last 2 races. He finished in second place in the previous race in Sydney, which was on the longer version of this track, but he seems to have a good affinity for it and is on target. Luke Rosella's not out of it though, he's a bit further behind, and he has the fastest lap of the race with a 58.693.
Oh, Nathan Higginson has finally pit. Sorry to cut
time out of both of them, you're right. There is Nathan Higginson making his way to the box as Kurt Stenberg goes through to retake the lead of this race, so that has cleansed the top, well, at least the top 3. We don't know how Dane Liccardo, when did he come in? That was lap 11 or so. Benjamin Dahlia doing well up into 5th place.
Yeah, from we expected him to be much further up. He was down in 17th or something. Oh, a little bit messy from Kurt going through the shortcut.
Yeah.
Which Brody Steen now under a second with about 5 laps yet to go. So,
well, Kurt Stenberg, as much as he is the champion-elect and the class of the field in a lot of the races this year, only off the podium 3 times out of all the races that we've had. He's kind of Bradbury'd his way into this into this race lead. No disrespect to him, but everyone else has sort of put themselves out of the race for one reason or another.
Corey down in 17th. Will Newell out.
Luke Rosella spun out.
Zach Baker shunted and then pit issue. So it's, I mean, like as everyone says about, you know, Rosberg, it takes luck and talent. And Kurt Stenberg does have both of those.
Nathan Higginson has rejoined just in front of Alex Cattle, so that's a spirited battle over 14th and 15th place. Cameron Parrott just behind them, so Cameron Parrott, who might be carrying some damage because he was minding his own business and Will Newell just drove into him because he was in the same pit box that Will Newell wanted. I just saw Luke Rosella go off track a little bit, so even though he's reeling in the top 2 by about 3 or 4 tenths of a second per lap, he is running out of time and pushing the limits very hard indeed.
So a little puff of lock-up for Kurt Stenberg.
Whoa! Sorry.
Ooh.
Just looking at a replay, Alex Cattle has managed to get past Nathan Higginson, so that battle there.
Oh, no!
And that is all she wrote.
That battle is, and that is all she wrote. And I don't think there was any touch there from Nathan. It just looked like oversteer from Alex, which is unfortunate. And now Cameron Parrott looking to capitalise on that. And Corey.
And the recovering Corey. So how far can he find his way up? Race winner in the previous race. Meanwhile, Brody Steen is looking very good for what would be his first win in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. And I do not think there would be anyone in this field who would begrudge him that win.
No, he's been carrying the flag for Race on Oz as well, while Sean's been having a bit of a break. Sean down in 5th, by the way, so pretty decent return for him.
Good recovery for Sean Allen, considering his qualifying pace. So I said it, didn't I? He's got good race pace to Sean Allen, so watch out for him in the race. A sensible driver.
It looks like Brody Steen just has a lot less wheel spin, a lot less sliding than Kurt Stenberg. I think he pit a couple of laps later, but these tyres are pretty hard to wear out, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think these races should be tyre limited. The tyre wear is only set to ×2, and they're shorter than the main race that we had last week, which was a one-stop race.
Well, he's got 2.5 laps to make this happen with about a 4/10 of a second gap, and they are coming up to some lapped runners.
Oh, Brody Steen's got to throw everything at this. He's got nothing to lose here. The Race on Oz really are not in the team's championship, so I wouldn't worry too much about the team's points. You've just got to go for the win when an opportunity presents itself.
And Kurt Stenberg can't take any risks, so if it comes to a close knife fight, he's probably just gonna, you know, he's not gonna argue the point too much, I wouldn't think. As they're coming up on the back of, who is that? That is David Nadich and Steve Warwick, the last 2 runners on the track. God, they're so close.
They are. There's just 2 laps remaining in this race, and Brody Steen senses blood in the water, potentially his first victory in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. He got his first podium of the year just last week, so he's in a rich vein of form, and Steve Warwick is the car up ahead. Then it's David Nenadich. Will they jump out of the way? I don't think they're going to.
Oh, Steve does.
Steve does just jump out of the way for both of them. And then it's the ZB car. This is the view from the front splitter of Brody Steen's car, and there's only 1 lap left after this one, so the opportunities are diminishing for Brody Steen. David Nenadich does indeed get out of the way for both of the front 2 guys. Luke Rosella looks like he might be out of it at this stage. He's a second behind. Brody Steen's just going to have another 60 seconds to try and affect the pass.
He's close. He's within 0.2 of a second. If he wants to try to dive down the inside, now is the time, but he doesn't. Holds onto it. He's going to have a go down into the hairpin. He's got to. Still under 0.2 of a second between the 2 of them. And he's going for the inside.
He's going for it. He's going for the inside. Kurt Stenberg turns in, gives him the room. He still has the inside for the next corner, but Brody Steen has got an opportunity here. If he can just keep around the outside here, he could be on for his first win in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. Down into the shortcut. Kurt Stenberg was hoping there that they were on the long version of the track. He keeps his nose in there. Brody Steen leads the race. The first time ever, potentially, that Race on Oz can win with Brody Steen. Sean Allen has had a few. But Brody Steen, can he hang on to it? Kurt Stenberg going to try and go down the inside at the final corner. It's going to be a drag race to the line. I don't think Brody's got it yet. He needs to get good traction. Luke Zeller is right there as well. Brody Steen to the line. Brody Steen, can he win? He wins! He wins! Brody Steen, a first win in ASC for Brody Steen, and that is another new winner.
Incredible finish. What a last lap. Absolute clutch stuff at that hairpin. Only just managed to get the pass done, and Kurt Stenberg was respectful enough, left the space, and managed to hang it around the outside of this next corner. But luckily, in this particular configuration of the track, the next corner goes left instead of right, and Brody Steen was able to slip into the lead and managed to hold on to that win. So very well done to Brody Steen. I think everyone will be very happy about that, none less himself, as he gives us some doughies. Absolutely incredibly done and well called by yourself, Stez.
Oh, just so happy for the guy. He's been nice enough to share his thoughts with us whenever he's finished on the podium, so I'm sure he'll be absolutely stoked with that. And it's just great to see this championship go from competitive strength to competitive strength. I think that finish has wiped out any of the sort of bad blood from, or some of the bad memories that we had from earlier in the race with some of the things that we don't like to see, by reminding us why this series is so good.
Well, that's you said you reckon Kurt Stenberg would win one race, so that's one race down of the two that he has to not win for you to be proven correct.
I don't think Kurt will be too disappointed with that result.
That was that was a clean, close battle at the end.
Poor Zach Baker finishing in seventh place.
Yeah, that doesn't tell the tale, does it?
Well,
no.
Yeah. But that means that Kurt does extend his championship lead again, well beyond what it was at the start of the night.
And Corey as well, who was fighting for the lead and got in a little bit of a tangle through turn one, I think, ending up down in 15th place. So that's probably not where he would like to be. As Brody just unable to drive his car in a straight line. He's so excited and he just can't hide it. He is already losing control. And I know he likes it.
Oh, I think we all like that one. Everyone liked that. Not least his teammate Sean Allen, who finishes 5th, so I'll tell you what, that is a huge haul of points for Race on Oz. So maybe I've called it too early. What's the gap's about 500 points between Race on Oz and
something
ZB.
About that we called as insurmountable, or all but insurmountable.
David Nenadic 19th. Zach Baker 7th. Brody Steen maximum points. Sean Allen 5th. That's a fair bit of point. That's a fair old recovery. So maybe they're not so comfortable in that ZB camp. They've made a statement, Race on Oz, tonight.
They have. They definitely have. And just that's that's their first opportunity to make a statement. We do have 2 more opportunities for them to make such similar statements. Races 2 and 3, both the same length, with 10-minute qualifying sessions still to come. And let's hope that we can get some more of that tight action that we saw in the first 10 laps.
100%. We are going to bring you all the action for the remaining 2 races tonight. If the recipe for the first one was any indication, the second 2 races are going to be absolutely delicious. We'll see you just after the break. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome backstage for the Automobilista Supercars Championship Bathurst 1000 stream, brought to you by Apex Rear Wing. This is just to give you a little look at our setup for the race today. So we've got our big main camera here, which is shooting our desk there. So that's when we're to camera, doing our little wrap-ups and stuff. That's where we're going to be. We've got these lovely green things, just sort of fake foliage to give us a bit of sound muffling, and also some very classy flamingo designs. We've got James behind the camera, currently filming me as I'm speaking. Over here, we've got Stairs currently doing something very important before the stream begins. And indeed, he's got some gaffer tape, so we won't interrupt him. But if you just come over here, you can see the enormous setup that we have. We've got 4 monitors, one of which is a TV, on which you can see Maddie Dunlop and Josh Bagsy. Bagsy's currently completing a Rubik's Cube, so you can see we're intelligent and talented here at Apex Rear Wing. So we've got 3 keyboards. We have got 3 mice. We have got a switcher. We have got 4 monitors. We're going to have 3 computers running. If you just come down here really quick, you can see we've got 1 computer over here, and then we've got another one here, and then we've got a 3rd one over here. So lots and lots of technology back here. The 21st century, isn't it? So, and then through this door over here, if you just have we probably don't need to go in there, but if you just pop over here, James, and just have a sneaky peek through there, you'll be able to see that is our Card FX bunker, where we've got Michael Zalavari doing some very important work on the whiteboard. So that's just a quick little brief look at the backstage here for the Automobilista Supercars Championship Bathurst 1000, and hope you've enjoyed.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 9th round of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. We are gearing up for the second of 3 races tonight. We're going to have a 10-minute qualifying session. We have just had an epic race where Brody Steen became a race winner in the Automobilista Supercars Championship for the very first time, winning in 22 laps in a tick under 22 minutes and 44 seconds. Kurt Stenberg was only just pipped by a 10th of a second to that win, with a pass on the final lap from Brody Steen to secure that victory. Luke Rosella had a very good view of all of it, finishing 3rd after an early spin, recovered to finish on the podium and got the fastest lap on the way with a 58.693. That was the top 3. We're about to head into qualifying, so we will bring you all the action right now. Here is a reminder of the racetrack.
Yep, so we are at the Druitt version of... Is it Druitt Park? Druitt, just Druitt.
Just the Druitt layout.
The Druitt layout, where we've got turns 1, 2, 3, and turn 3 leading into turn 4A and 5B. And then from 5B, we go for a little bit of a hyperspace jump over to turns 15, 16. No, not even turn 15, just 16, 17, and 18. But we've been calling it the last sector and the shortcut, irrespectively. And I think that's a lot simpler.
Yeah, it's always weird when tracks have multiple layouts. What do they actually
do that?
Good question. Because the thing is, they originally built that track with multiple layouts in mind. But having said that, a lot of the tracks, like Silverstone, for example, has
names,
shorter versions of the track and longer versions of the track. But those corners all have names, as you said there. So the usual argy-bargy as the cars make their way into the pit lane to try and jostle for position. And leading the way, it looks like it's going to be Brendan Ross again, as Zach Baker elects to do a practice start, or maybe he's just pulling over to wait. This is the Lewis Wedding technique from Zach Baker that we're seing.
Honestly, probably a good idea. Because otherwise you're going to just find yourself in a huge pack of idiots. And idiots meant affectionately, of course. And you're going to have no clean air. So wait for them all to get around to like halfway through the lap.
If you can't do what Brendan Ross is doing, which is be first out, then that is definitely the best thing.
But then the issue with being first out is that you might come across people like Zach Baker who wait until the last minute to get out, and then they interrupt you while they're on their warm-up lap. As he gets a little bit sideways going through the last corner, there is Lewis Wedding.
And I think that's Steve Warwick's car, where
Lewis Wedding's hidden behind.
Just behind there, yeah. But headlights ablaze for Brendan Ross, who starts. Now, we've got actually quite a number of cars, 4 or 5 still in the pits.
I think Brendan Ross was first on track last time as well, he must like this.
He likes the airtime of being the first track on the car.
The first track on the car?
Yeah.
Very good.
I thought I'd just double down on that one.
Appreciate it.
So I was quite impressed with Brendan Ross's first lap in qualifying last time. He immediately set a time under the 1 minutes. We're seeing some decent times in the previous qualifying session, sort of into the 58s. The
58
pole time was a 58.257 for the first qualifying session, so we'll see if we can improve upon that.
Brendan Ross looking nice and clean so far on this lap, but it's kind of hard to tell because it's such a short lap. You think where are you gaining an extra second or however much it is, which indeed it's a second, 1.3 seconds he is behind what the pole time was last lap, and you look at it and you're like, how do you gain that much time on a track that's under a minute long? Ed Boggs has usurped him for provisional pole position.
Corey goes to the top on a 58.641. Luke Rosello, who's just slid the rear out of the first corner, at the last corner I should say, he makes his run to the line. What can he do? It is third place, 6/10 adrift of Corey. Will Newell has returned up into second place. Let's hope he's had a chance to cool down. Kurt Stenberg's on his first qualifying lap, so we'll see most of this one. Ed Boggs in fourth place. Zach Baker goes into third.
There we go. Hope we get to see Zach Baker's resurgence continue in race number 2.
Kurt Stenberg's tenth or half a tenth or so adrift through the first sector. Through the second sector, I should say, after the shortcut. Final corner for Kurt Stenberg. Let's see what the time is. Marginally pipped for the first win of the night by Brody Steen, who's currently sat in 8th. Kurt Stenberg goes third on a 58.897. Ed Boggs has traffic in the form of Will Newell just up ahead, but that shouldn't hold him up too much because Will Newell's got a decent turn of pace about him.
That's actually Cameron Parrott, I believe.
Oh, beg your pardon.
It's a bit of a whoa.
That is Parrott, but it's the double letter in the name.
It
the
does
double
look like
T looks like the double L.
It does look like a double L.
But yes, Will Newell actually has far less in terms of graphics on his car itself.
The entrance into that shortcut looks bloody hairy. Like they rocket over it like it's a curb they're not meant to be climbing, which I suppose it sort of is.
So Sean Allen looks like he's coming into the pits. That's an in-lap I've captured. Benjamin Dahlia to the line. He currently sits in 10th place and did well in the first race. Looks like he got a track cut on that lap, so that's no good.
No, so it can happen apparently, despite my...
If you really push the limits.
Yeah, you'd have to really take the piss.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who Diamond V8 is, but they were asking on the Discord channel, is there any track limits on the exit of turns 5, 8 and 10, which are different track numbers to the ones that we got from the Sydney Motorsport Park website, which does not denote a turn 8 and 10 for this version of the racetrack. And Kurt just said the game will give you a track cut if you go too far. So what is too far? I mean, that could be said of any track, really. If you go too far, it will give you a track cut. Is that too far, for example, from Benjamin Dahlia? We will see. I think that I've seen track limits extended to that degree in previous laps, and it has counted, so I would say
I've seen worse than
no.
that, I reckon, and it's been counted.
It's counted.
It's very lenient for those last... although, having said that, he got a track cut somewhere.
There we go. So that's 2 laps in a row from Benjamin Dahlia.
Very
He
frustrating.
has not been able to cement a time. So currently, he's dropped down to 11th place with Brendan Ross jumping up ahead of him, and he's not going to do too well on that lap ahead of Luke Rosella on track.
And there's 6 cars, 4/10 of a second cover 6 cars from Corey down to Zach Baker. And a second covers, well, a second and 4/1000ths of a second covers the top 12, which is, I mean, I know it is a short lap, so the gaps are going to be quite small, but still, Jesus.
So Kurt Stenberg to the line. Does he improve? He does. He goes to pole position by a quarter of a second, so that's a bit more like it from Kurt Stenberg. He's found a turn of pace, and he'll be particularly happy with that. 52.378 wasn't quite as fast as what we saw in the first qualifying session of the night, though.
About a tenth of a second, I reckon, behind what pole position was for race 1. And I've just noticed Luke Rosella... Oh, never mind. Will Newell has jumped up to under a tenth behind Kurt Stenberg. Luke Rosella was previously 0.02 of a second behind Will Newell, but that is obviously extended.
So Luke Rosella in 4th place currently on a lap. The number 55 for Synergy Sim Racing. He's raced under a number of different liveries over the year or so, year and a half, nearly 2 years he's been with the Automobilista Supercars Championship and bounces over the curb through the shortcut. He's down on his own personal best. As Kurt Stenberg... No, I thought I saw the gaps changing, but no, that was actually the... It's funny, the second sector split comes up so quickly that the first sector split is still on the screen when the second sector split comes up. Because there's only 6 seconds.
It's a very short sector split.
So he's down on his own personal best, but can he find some time in the final sector? No, he cannot. So he's still 4/10 adrift of current pole sitter Kurt Stenberg, who's looking like he's going to have one more go at it as he's out in the pit lane.
There's still time, if they're in the pits now, there's still time to get out and do 2 laps because of the length of the racetrack. Looks like Corey's currently on a hot lap as he's taken purple in the first and second sectors by the looks of it.
Kobe Williams currently sat in 5th, fairly sort of under the radar.
Not a name I called in the previous race, I don't think.
And we'll just see if Corey can improve, and he's got a track cut on that lap.
So having disparagingly spoken about the piss taking that can be done in regards to the track cuts, they've responded.
Piss taking has been piss punished as Kobe Williams comes to the line and improves to 4th, dropping Luke Rosella down to 5th. So Luke Rosella's got a bit of work to do if he wants to finish a bit further up. That was a good job from Williams. He had a lot of traffic to deal with on that track, on that lap, and even though they weren't physically in his way, they would have been a bit distracting. Corey is on a good lap.
Never mind Chinese water torture, I don't want to be piss punished.
Goodness me. Goodness me.
And I reckon his lap, he has abandoned that lap.
Will Newell has just spun.
So he's resetting, I think, for a last tilt at it, getting the widest line he possibly can through the last corner. He's got a nice clear track ahead of him.
Yeah, he'll need that. So Corey coming to the line to start his lap. Just saw Zach Baker bounce over the curbs through the shortcut, and he's actually quite close as well, even though he's lost time through the shortcut. The first sector split looked alright, the second sector split dropped a tenth or two, which is quite a lot in a 6-second split. So let's see whether he can improve maybe in the final sector. They're all quite tight because it's a sub 1 minute lap. And Zach Baker comes in. So we'll cut away from that one.
Looks like we might have a quick lap coming
Corey's
from
gone
Kurt
back.
Stenberg. Oh no, so Corey will not be improving from his 3rd place start. Looks like we've got a quick lap incoming from Kurt Stenberg and possibly from Brendan Ross.
Oh, Kurt's got a track card on that lap, so he won't improve, but there's 7 seconds left on the timer. He will have an opportunity to set another lap. Will Newell, Corey McFarlane, Luke Rosella all in the pits. Ed Boggs is currently on a lap. So the top, well, 2nd, 3rd and 4th will not improve currently. Only Kurt Stenberg or those behind can potentially improve, and Ed Boggs is going to come into the pits as well. So that's it for Ed Boggs. Zach Baker is in the pits. Kobe Williams could potentially improve. Kurt Stenberg is on a pretty good lap, but he's gone very, very wide coming out of the shortcut. Let's see whether he does improve. This is all academic. I don't think there's anyone who can knock him off now. Kobe Williams, I think, just jumped up into 6th place.
6th, yeah. Which his timer was showing 1 minute and 45 seconds to me, so I assume that was some sort of timing glitch.
So Kurt Stenberg, will he improve? Will he get the fastest lap of the night? It is a track card.
Oh my god.
No, it's not a track card. It just took a little bit of time to come up. 58.250. I think that is the fastest lap of the night.
If not, it matches it. The one for race 1 was also a 58.2, but I can't remember the fractions that came after thus. Everyone is now back in the pit lane, which means that qualifying is done. And we have pole sitter of Kurt Stenberg, followed by Will Newell, hopefully on better behaviour, and Corey for the top 3, with Luke Rosella rounding out the top 2 rows.
Top 4, pretty much the same protagonist, just in a different order as qualifying for the first race.
I was racking my brains trying to think of 2 books that have the same people in it, but in different order, and it's never mind.
Can you think of books that have the same exact pages, but in different orders?
No.
Oh, because I can imagine if you put the first chapter of Harry Potter right in the middle,
That'd fuck shit up.
Wouldn't it? Be confusing.
There's a woman I work with who used to own a bookstore and now works in a library, and she starts a book by reading the last chapter.
Oh.
And then goes to the start.
No,
right?
No.
And her explanation for this aberrant behavior is that she's like, well, what if I walk outside and get hit by a bus? I'll never know how it ended.
But half of the enjoyment is not knowing.
See, that's my opinion as well. But apparently,
also, you don't know who the characters are at the end, so none of it's going to make sense.
Apparently, this isn't an uncommon
that.
thing, because quite a few people on my Goodreads were having a discussion about it, and it was much the same. A lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, I read the last page, or I read the last paragraph, or I read the last chapter."
This is weirdly similar, or this is weirdly familiar to that. There's an ABC show called Conversations with Richard Feidler.
Yes, I like him.
There was an episode of his.
As an aside,
I was literally listening to this today. It wasn't actually him. It was Sarah Konofsky, who's like the other person who does. It used to be just Richard Feidler, but now it's he doesn't do all of them. That's not really.
You digress.
I digress. Not important. She had David Stratton on. You know, the movie critic from ABC. He used to be on the SBS. For
no idea,
years.
But continue.
Anyway, because you don't know who these characters are, this is not really going to be very entertaining anecdote at all. But anyway, he was saying when he was a kid, his grandma would take him to the movies, and they never really knew when the movie was starting. It would just play on repeat. So they'd go into the movies and they'd see the end of the film before they started the film, and so they always knew who the murderer was. I just thought, that's horrible. Kind of defeats the purpose of watching the movie if you already know.
Was this back in the dim dark days when they didn't have session times and they would just play it on repeat and you'd hope that you got there at the right time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know.
When you went to see a picture.
Imagine if you saw The Sixth Sense. I guess everyone knows how The Sixth Sense ends.
Well, yeah, but
now.
only because it's like if you went to see Sixth Sense in 1998 or whenever it came out,
when it wasn't a spoiler,
when the entire existence of it wasn't a meme, I imagine that'd be quite distressing.
Yeah.
It'd be the same with Star Wars.
Oh, like The Simpsons made a joke of that.
Yeah, but what if there was what if in 1970. When did Return of the Jedi come out? 81 or something? What if in 1983 they had... It was that sort of situation where they just play it on repeat and they were having a whole trilogy showing of it, and you got there just in time to see Vader go, "Luke, I am your father."
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit. And then it rolls back around to the start and you're like, oh, what's he... Why is he saying that he doesn't like this Darth Vader guy? It's his dad.
What do you think is the statute of limitations for spoilers?
I reckon...
do you think we're there with Squid Game yet?
I reckon Squid Game, if you haven't watched it by now, you deserve what you get.
Il-Nam orchestrated the whole thing.
Have you seen Squid Game?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you think it's
I thought the end fizzled out a bit.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But it kept me wanting to watch the next episode.
I quite liked... Well, having said you deserve what you get, I don't particularly want to spoil it, but I quite liked how...
I just did, didn't I?
Well... But, if someone who has never watched it hears that, they're probably going to go like, what? And they'll forget about it.
To be fair, I didn't know any of the characters' names throughout the whole thing.
No.
So apart from Sang-woo.
Sang-woo and Sae-byok. Sae-byok is the North Korean...
Crazy woman?
No, the North Korean girl.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I quite liked how downbeat the ending was.
Oh, yeah.
But the way the way that it ends for a second season, I wasn't particularly.
I don't think I need a second series.
I thought
doesn't mean I
think it
didn't
would've
enjoy.
been
Like one series that I watched recently, or in the last year or two, that I enjoyed was Queen's Gambit. And I don't think I want to see another series of that. Doesn't mean I didn't absolutely enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I really enjoyed, The Mandalorian. And I enjoyed having a second season of it, even if I didn't particularly enjoy the second season of it.
All right, Mabba, do you want the pleasure of going through the grid?
God, hit me with it. So Kurt Stenberg on pole position after narrowly missing out on the win in race number 1. In second place, we have Will Newell, who will have to be on his very best behaviour, Will.
What you doing there?
In third place, we have Corey, who will be hoping for a better result than 17th. In fourth, we have Luke Rosella, who will be hoping for a podium, presumably. Ed Boggs in fifth, another good qualifying showing for him. Zach Baker hoping for a better race. I'm saying that a lot. A lot of these guys at the front did not have particularly good races in the previous race, but Zach Baker we're hoping to see up there. Kobe Williams, very good qualifying in 7th. Brody Steen in 8th after his maiden win. Very well done to Brody. Sean Allen, his teammate, lining up right behind him in 9th place. Benjamin Dahlia in 10th, which is a little bit more representative compared to what he was last race in 18th or 19th or something. Alex Cattle in 11th. So we've got Race on Oz, Race on Oz, Race on Oz, Race on Oz. Followed by Brendan Ross in 12th place for Ultimate 9 Racing. In 13th, we've got David Nedelich, who missed the start, so that's not helping ZB's championship prospects with a resurgent Race on Oz. Dane Liccardo in 14th with Lachlan Burke behind him in 15th. Ben Hall in 16th with Steve Warwick behind him. Still no Colin Warwick.
That's very unusual.
Cameron Parrott in 18th place. Hopefully he doesn't cop any stray Will Newells in the pits. Nathan Higginson in 19th. RSM Latino 20th. Lewis Wedding or Luce in 21st. And Hans Brunswick in 22nd. So an all Ultimate 9 Racing back row. And they give us a lovely little formation
taking
flying.
A while to line up.
Formation flying to the back row of the grid.
I don't know if you saw the Mexican Grand Prix, and this is not a spoiler if you haven't seen it, but Mercedes on the
very upset
on the pit wall before the race, complaining about how long it took the guys to
it seemed about the normal amount of time to me, personally.
Yeah, I think it was.
And they hadn't even, they'd been sitting stationary for about 2 seconds, and they're like, "Oh, Michael, they're not lined up yet." Anyway,
lights are on.
They are.
Revs are rising. And the clutches drop, off they go. It's a pretty good reaction from Kurt Stenberg, and it looks like he is going to get the whole shot through into the lead. Meanwhile, behind it's Will Newell with Corey McFarlane all the way up his rear keister.
His rear keister, not his front keister. Men don't have that. And Luke Rosella right alongside him. All of them squabbling. And, well, speaking of squabbling, that is an absolute pack behind them. Going through the hairpin. Doesn't look like anyone's been flung off into the wall, so we're already doing better than last race. Very well done to everyone keeping it clean through there. And it's line astern as they head through the shortcut for the first time.
Absolutely. So good start there for Kurt Stenberg. That was exactly what he wanted, and he wants to try and break away from the leaders. Well, the leaders, he is the leader, but the guys who are not quite leaders, but the next leaders in Will Newell and Corey McFarlane. So pit strategy will take pit strategy will have an impact on this race, but we also saw a huge amount of squabbling in the early stages of the last race. It already seems like a more sensible start to this race.
It does. Nowhere near as messy. As it looks like Corey is not quite able to keep it on Will Newell's backside the way he was in the previous race. They are still quite close, and if Will Newell has an accident, he's going to be right up there. But still only 1 second separates the top 4. Speaking of Will Newell. It always looks a little bit fraught.
It's sketchy over the top of that shortcut. It absolutely is. So Ed Boggs in 5th place. Rounds out the top 5.
Zach Baker still down in 6th, unfortunate. I was hoping to see him make up a few places on the start.
But Steen made up a spot to the cost of Kobe Williams. Sean Allen's where he started. Pretty much everyone in the top 10 is where they started. Dane Liccardo's done a good job. He is up 3 spots from where he started. And is currently going wheel to wheel with Brendan Ross over 11th and 12th place. No love lost between these two last week. no loss between any of the people Dane Liccardo battled last week, but they're continuing to fight on. And Dane Liccardo looks like he might nearly have got spun around. They're bottlenecking up as that battle heats up a little bit on the third lap of 22.
That was very well done to Brendan Ross, I think. I think he lifted out of the throttle a little bit. Oh,
no harm, no foul.
Very messy run through the shortcut, but no one got hurt, so, game on.
Back at the front, Will Newell keeping Kurt Stenberg very much honest at the front of this race. Did I mention that's at the front of the race?
Yes, and Kurt Stenberg trying to break away from the not quite leaders, but soon to be leaders. Hopefully not leaders.
Fastest lap from Kurt Stenberg, 58.744, which beats his own fastest lap from the previous lap. So just looking through the field, Hans Brunswick's done a good job to come up 6 spots from where he started, and
Lewis up 4 by the looks of it.
Yeah, Lewis Wedding got dragged up along for quite a number of those spots as well. And just seeing who the other big mover was, I believe it was Nathan Higginson, who's currently running in 14th place and is up 5 spots.
Very well done to Nathan Higginson. He has Lachlan Burke for company in that Napa livery. Well, in a car with that Napa livery, he's not just wearing the paint.
So it seems like the move to Monday nights has been good for the Automobilista Supercars Championship. Some of these guys running normally in the Australian Sim Racing Series coming across to this series, and it's fantastic to see them battling away, and Nathan Higginson getting some bit of bump drafting action from the rear there. Whoa, and he backs it into turn 1. My goodness, the corner goes left, not right, but he found a way to turn left while turning right. And has given the opportunity there to Hans Brunswick, who sneaks up the inside. Very, very well done there.
I think he intimidated Lachlan Burke into abandoning that overtake attempt. Just, look at what I can do, and I want no part of that.
Anything you can do, I'm just going to not do.
And Hans Brunswick said, "Oh well, I reckon I can handle him." Whoa!
Oh, see ya.
Very well caught from Nathan Higginson. It hasn't helped him. He's lost those 2 positions.
It looked like when the cyclists peel off from the lead as they're giving the draft to their teammates, and it goes to the back of the group. That's what that looked like from Nathan Higginson. So that's a gift for Hans Brunswick, and also a gift for Lockie Burke. Meanwhile, back at the front, the top 4 are as we left them.
Kurt Stenberg has
Corey
extended.
having a move down the inside, as you were about to say, Kurt Stenberg's extended the lead. This is why they're fighting each other.
They are. A little bit messy there from Will. A bit of a rear lock by the looks of it, or not rear lock. Bit of rear wheel spin. And gets out on the grass to boot.
Luke Rosella really desperately wants to get clear.
Jesus.
Was that lag, or did Will Newell just completely miss his braking point there?
It looked as if he completely missed and overshot the shortcut. I did see someone else do that on the first lap.
Taking the piss a little bit, because look how much of a gap he's put on Corey and Luke Rosella as a result of
0.8 of a second.
You won't get too many opportunities to do that, and if he's not given back the advantage that he's gained from that, so that is... Will Newell is definitely dicing with the rule book tonight. No doubt the corner, the lap wouldn't have counted. In fact, he's invalidated 2 sectors by doing that, because he went through the middle sector and the start of the final sector by shortcutting there, as Will Newell. Luke Rosella has got past Corey by the looks of it.
Oh, and Nathan Higginson is in the wall.
Oh,
not sure if he got
Nathan.
Not sure if he got any help with that.
We'll see if we can pick up a replay there of what happened to Nathan Higginson. It looks like he did it all by himself. We saw how much trouble he was having through turn 1. He got 2 wheels on the grass on the inside of the curb there, and I think he's done well.
He did pretty well.
I was going to say to keep it out of the wall,
it.
But he didn't keep it out of the wall.
He did well to almost catch it.
Yeah,
but not quite, unfortunately.
Oops.
So he has recovered back to 20th place, which isn't really recovering, but hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
He's recovered to the racetrack ahead of Alex Cattle and David Nenadic. David Nenadic, remember, started from the pit lane.
So Corey right on the back of Luke Rosella.
Yeah, so Luke got that move done about a lap ago, But what he wants to do now, he's caught up to Will Nil, so that's good news for him. He wants to pass him quickly. That's Will Nil when I say him in that respect.
Looks like a good battle over 6th as well. With the two Race on Oz guys. And Benjamin Dahlia and Ed Boggs are all quite close on track. Just from number amounts. Oh, maybe not that close.
Yeah, reasonably. So Ed Boggs has dropped a couple of places through this race.
Those Race on Oz liveries don't like the dusk light, particularly.
Brody Steen and Sean Allen have got past Ed Boggs now.
And Benjamin Dahlia right on his rear chuff.
It's going to make it 3 of the Race on Oz cars that have passed Ed Boggs, unfortunately, as the second, third and fourth battle closes right up. Zach Baker's in with a good opportunity here, so he wants to claw back some points on the Race on Oz guys, thinking about that teams championship situation, of course.
Oh.
Can Luke Rosella find a way through? He wants to put Kurt Stenberg under some pressure, but he's very rapidly disappearing up the road. 2 seconds the gap now between second and first.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of these 3 battling. These 4, I should say, because Zach Baker has well and truly joined this battle.
Left to his own devices, Luke Rosella's got the pace to mix it with Kurt Stenberg, but when he's qualified not quite as well as he would have hoped, those couple of positions that he has to make up makes a huge difference to whether or not he can challenge for the lead. And just in the time we've been talking about this battle, the gap has gone up by half a second or so. It has concertinaed back and forth a little bit, of course.
As they go through the hairpin, Zach Baker now right onto the back of Corey.
Hans Brunswick's just made a pit stop.
I was going to say that's early, but we're at half race distance almost.
So interesting that he's the first one this late to make a pit stop, if that makes sense. Ooh,
that we haven't had a pit stop before now.
Yeah, but at lap 10 he's the first. That's unusual. Here we go. Luke Rosella going door to door with Will Newell, and they slide their way through. I don't know that Luke Rosella's going to hang on to too many positions doing that. Nearly lost the position to Zach Baker.
Right.
He lost the spot. Well, Corey McFarlane was the beneficiary there. He got all the way through. Whoa. And who was that in the pits?
All 3 of them, I think. Yeah.
All 3 of them. That shot perfectly showed it. Luke Rosella stays out. I think that's worked out well for everyone, to be honest. Because I think Luke Rosella pretty much wants to stay out of that battle and
just punch in some hot laps by himself, I reckon.
want to try for the undercut. So let's see if there's any shenanigans in the pit lane as a result of
Let us hope not.
It looks like they've all got service.
Excellent.
Thank goodness for that. And they all get going pretty much at exactly the same time. I think that's Cameron Parrott in the back of the shot.
Zach Baker's managed to make the positions in the pit stops.
Lucky Burke, I think that was, in the Napa car in the background, completely missing the pit entry. Was it up in the grass? So, not sure exactly what was going on there.
So Zach Baker rejoins right behind his teammate, although his teammate has not yet pit.
Yeah, look at that.
And Zach Baker has managed to make those 2 positions. So Zach Baker is
that's experience.
Is second once all the pit stops shake out.
Here comes Luke Rosella. Kurt Stenberg has stayed out, I believe, or has he?
Wonder if Luke Rosella has made any gains with the overcut of staying out an extra lap.
Well, he's kept his nose out of trouble. That's the main thing. And I think if Zach Baker had a quicker stop, those other guys might have had a slow stop. Now, Luke Rosella doesn't want this car coming in to hinder him, and he won't. A few more cars coming in. I think that's
Steve
Sykes. No, Steve. You might be right there. Benjamin Dahlia on the way. So here comes Zach Baker down the main straight now. Luke Rosella just making his way to the end of the pit lane, just going past the cone where he can release the limiter, and you just saw the blue flash of Zach Baker going through. Was that David Nedidich?
That was David Nedidich. So Luke Rosella has managed to come out at the same time as Zach Baker, so they are joined at the hairpin. Zach Baker's going to make that position, I think, with slightly warmer tyres, but that's worked out well for Luke Rosella, who's made up at least 1 position.
Luke Rosella's got the pace to make that position back, I think. Although having said that, Zach Baker did have very, very good pace in the first race. So he's jumped out ahead of Corey McFarlane, but he's still got a few corners before his tyres will be fully up to temperature, Luke Rosella. So he will want to keep Corey McFarlane, who's looking very, very racy indeed, behind him.
And Corey is a blind man. Oh, never mind.
He's a blind man.
The joke I was about to make is no longer relevant.
Lots of action in the pit lane. Dane Liccardo, 2 of the Ultimate 9 cars. Ben Hall also in the pits. Kurt Stenberg, though, hasn't come into the pits, and neither has Sean Allen. So these guys going for a bit of a tyre advantage towards the end of this race. Kobe Williams also hasn't pit, and he's in 3rd place. Zach Baker's driving up the road a little bit from Luke Rosella, who's looking in his mirrors a fair bit.
Worrying too much about Corey behind him.
Where did Will Newell end up? Down in 10th. He's lost a lot of time. Well, it's only 2 seconds, but it's made a difference because Brody Steen's managed to slot into that. I
think that was a change for position recently, or like maybe coming out of the pits, because he was behind Corey just before by a couple of seconds.
And Zach
Baker.
Sean Allen came into the pits.
Zach Baker's trying to overtake his teammate, who is on
lapping.
Yeah, very, very different. Well, not lapping. But he is coming into the pits, so that makes it easy.
So lots of positions changing as they go past people who are currently pitting. Just coming out of the pit lane is the numbers are changing a lot.
It's hard to tell.
David Nadich, Kobe Williams. Kurt Stenberg is in the pits.
Finally.
The race lead, but given the pace he's been running, he should comfortably come out in the lead of the race, unless he messes up his fuel calculations.
Nathan Higginson still is yet to pit.
Doing the same thing he did in the first race, staying out quite a long time.
He did have, and he has had an accident, so perhaps he has actually pit. No, he would be much further down. Never mind.
Interesting, though, that he didn't give himself enough damage in that accident to feel the need to come in straight away. Kurt Stenberg now making his way to the end of the pit lane and releases the limiter. The guy who's going to be in 2nd place when this all shakes out is Zach Baker. And you should just see him in the back of that shot. There he is.
That's a significant gap that Kurt Stenberg's managed to hold on to, about 4 seconds, as Luke Rosella sets the fastest lap of the race.
Nathan Higginson once again will lead a lap of this race.
And lead it in style, with some opposite lock and some soaring at the wheel, by all means. Oh. It's just a heart attack.
Makes you wonder why. I mean, is he doing it for the airtime? Or, why would you go 15 laps into a 22-lap race where you only need to make 1 pit stop before you make your first pit stop?
Oh. He's out of the race regardless, I would expect.
Luke Rosella is going to make the move on Zach Baker, who's just gone wide through the final corner. They're going to exit out that final corner pretty much line astern. Zach Baker will get the slipstream down this main straight, though, and will try to make the pass back. Luke Rosella goes to the inside, a little bit too wise for that move. And Corey McFarlane with a watching brief will look to take 3rd from whoever stumbles out of this battle. Luke Rosella very much driving in his mirrors right now. Doesn't quite have the pace straight away, but was close enough to capitalise on that mistake from Zach Baker.
Yeah, this is all but guaranteeing that Kurt Stenberg is going to walk away with the win at this rate, barring an accident. I believe Nathan Higginson is finally in the pits as Kurt Stenberg overtakes him. Not on track. Corey a little bit messy there through the shortcut. And looks as if Will Newell has retaken 6th place. Brody Steen down into 12th, so I hope that was a pit stop and not something happening.
I think that is something happening, though, because Sean Allen is a lot further ahead of Brody Steen than he was. So,
well, Brody Steen was ahead of Will Newell in 5th or in 6th place, so I'm hoping there hasn't been a tangle there.
Nathan Higginson is just pitting now by the looks of it, so he got passed on track by Kurt Stenberg before that happened.
No, he's been in the pits for quite... I think he's repairing damage, so he's been in the pits for quite a while. I thought I saw him at the pit
entry. Anyway, this is the replay of Zach Baker going wide, and that was all the invitation that Luke Rosella needed.
And that is why you see them as they are now. Luke Rosella in 2nd place, Zach Baker in 3rd, with Corey in 4th place. And Will Newell dropping down the order, now down in 10th place, promoting Sean Allen up into 5th.
Now this is interesting. Sean Allen is having a tasty battle with his teammate Benjamin Dahlia over 5th place. So Sean Allen is currently the leading Race on Oz guy. Benjamin Dahlia has been very strong recently. He got a podium in both of the previous 2 rounds. And can't actually remember where he finished the first race. I think it was 4th or 5th.
Yep, and he's now bump drafting behind Sean Allen all the way down the start-finish straight, going into turn 1, takes that position. Sean Allen doesn't fight it too hard. Probably don't want to put your teammate off. But that is a change for position. So Benjamin Dahlia up into 5th place, which he'd be pretty happy about, I would expect. And we're just seeing if we can get some footage of... Looks as if Will Newell has DNF'd.
And he was in amongst these 2 at the time, so it looks like he has had a bit of an incident. This was him going door to door with Sean Allen. And then just sort of goes off the track, and I'm not sure what he was trying to do there, and then copped a bit of a whack from one of the cars going by, and from there he went straight back to the garage.
And we had Ed Boggs is also DNF'd, and I think that was the one that that clipped him on the way through, so maybe did some damage to Ed Boggs as well.
And that's the result. Another Will Newell DNF. We've had 3 out of 2 races.
Incredible stats. What an incredible stat line that man does have. As at the front, Luke Rosella now the better part of 5 seconds behind Kurt Stenberg, so that's academic at this stage.
He's just worrying about keeping Zach Baker behind for now. And I have to say, Zach Baker's doing a tremendous job tonight. Currently in 3rd place. Was looking like he might have the pace to win the first race. And he's got quite a handful of podiums. I think he's on the podium more often than off it this year.
Zach Baker?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unlucky that he hasn't had a win. They were on for a win at Bathurst last year, weren't they? We thought
2019.
Or the year before, yeah.
He still has the fastest lap from Bathurst, which is a stat that I like to bring up. Last year they didn't come anywhere near.
It's an impressive stat.
Well, I was very surprised because in last year's race, I thought that Dane Warren would beat it, but they did alter the track somewhat. I believe they used a different version, and so they just didn't quite get into the favoured 203 land that we got into in that first ASC Bathurst 1000 back in 2019.
Get your Scafey bingo ready.
So yeah, 5.8 seconds. Joot, joot, joot. That's Kurt Stenberg checking out.
Staring at you like a wild animal.
Zach Baker's tried pretty hard there and has just come a cropper a little bit.
He's tried so hard and he's gotten so far. In the end, he's about a second behind Luke Rosella.
And it doesn't even matter because Corey McFarlane isn't close enough to take advantage. So it's probably going to be the way that it finishes. Benjamin Dahlia has got past Sean Allen.
He has. And so he's in 5th place, which is pretty representative of what we expect from Benjamin Dahlia. Sean Allen in 6th with Brody Steen down in 9th place. So still a decent return for the Race on Oz guys.
Yeah, Kobe Williams has had a quiet race in 7th place. And a quiet race is pretty hard to come by in this series.
It can be,
We've got
yes.
Dane Liccardo, who's done a really good job coming up 6 spots from where he started, currently in 8th. There is Brody Steen, who looks like he's going to come under some pressure from Lewis Wedding, who's sliding his way around turn number 2 as he rounds out the top 10. The leader, Kurt Stenberg, is just about to start the final lap of this race. See if we can just quickly surmise what has happened to everyone else in this race. Behind... Oh, Nathan Higginson's just got a drive-through penalty. That's
no.
Add to his tale of woe, unfortunately. So that is Brendan Ross in 11th place to race Ultimate 9 cars. Ina Stern, Ben Hall out of 12th. Lachlan Burke in 13th. Steve Warwick in 14th. Flying the flag for the Warwicks tonight. Cameron Parrott in 15th, up 3 spots. Then we've got David Nenovich, who looks like he's holding off Hans Brunswick for the final spot on the leading lap. And Hans Brunswick looks like he might have a good chance at overhauling that position as it stands.
Very close.
Then we've got RSM Latino and Nathan Higginson, the last of our cars running. Let's go back to the guy who is going to win this race and extend his championship lead even more. It is Kurt Stenberg, who comes across the line to take victory.
Yep.
As Nathan Higginson comes in to take his pit stop on the last lap.
And and gets a little bit sideways coming into the pits. Or as Kurt Stenberg hangs it out around the first corner, Luke Rosella does come back in second place, and Zake Baker comes home in third for a podium finish, which he would be quite happy with. Corey in fourth, which he'd be disappointed not being on the podium, but he'd probably happy not being in 17th. Benjamin Dahlia in 5th with Sean Allen behind him in 6th. Good finish from Kobe Williams in 7th. Dane Liccardo in 8th, keeping his nose clean. Brody Steen in 9th place. Another good points result for Race on Oz. And Lewis Wedding rounding out the top 10 with a much more representative finishing position for Lewis Wedding's talent.
Well, there's Kurt Stenberg's one race that I predicted.
There we go. So who's going to win the other one, Stairs?
Well, I don't know. Kurt Stenberg has found his form now. I thought it might be the last race in my sort of thinking that he would win after sort of coming to grips. But I don't know. Luke Rosella, he might have found his form. Let's see. I'm going to pick Luke for this third race.
I'm going to pick Corey. I reckon Corey's hungry.
Yeah, well, he definitely found the pace in the second race in last week's proceedings. So that's probably a good guess. I reckon we've got two good picks there.
Yeah, we go. So we've made our picks, so can't wait for it to not be either of them.
Now, Kurt Stenberg's best lap in that race, 58.250. I have a feeling that was the time he set in qualifying to the thousandth of a second.
I believe you are exactly right.
I'm just going to try and see if I can bring up the qualifying result.
That was race 1.
Let's refresh this.
I reckon you're correct though. 58.250.
251. I feel like it showed 250 on the screen. I'm going to have to go back and watch the broadcast.
It shows 250 there, but if you pull it up in results in live races. Yep. What have we got?
Yeah, 250. But I think it rounds it slightly differently because the game actually does measure to the 10,000th of a second. And I have a feeling in the game it showed 250, but I might be completely wrong and everyone's screaming at me watching this back, but I have a feeling I saw 250 on the screen.
If it's a thousandth of a second in it, then
that's consistency.
That's still very consistent.
He's found his ceiling, I think.
He has. I think he has.
I'm sure he would not want it to be considered a ceiling because I'm sure he thinks there's more to be found, but he's very close to the limit of what's possible, I think, if he's lapping within thousandth of a second.
He is driving at the limit of cohesion. Is that one of the things?
Adhesion.
Adhesion.
Cohesion is what we talk at, the limit of cohesion.
Yes, in that we are not cohesive.
So, Kurt Stenberg, pole position. Just writing this down in my notes so I can remember who I need to talk to at the end of this race.
Oh.
From Luke Rosella and Corey. And Zach Baker. Rounding out the podium.
Very well done to Zach Baker.
So we'll take a quick break and then we'll bring you all the action from the third race.
Enjoy. Hello everybody, welcome backstage for the Automobilistas Supercars Championship Bathurst 1000 stream, brought to you by Apex Rear Wing. This is just to give you a little look at our setup for the race today. So we've got our big main camera here, which is shooting our desk there. So that's when we're to camera, doing our little wrap-ups and stuff. That's where we're going to be. We've got these lovely green things, just sort of fake foliage to give us a bit of sound muffling, and also some very classy flamingo designs. We've got James behind the camera, currently filming me as I'm speaking. Over here, we've got Stairs currently doing something very important before the stream begins. And indeed, he's got some gaffer tape, so we won't interrupt him. But if you just come over here, you can see the enormous setup that we have. We've got 4 monitors, one of which is a TV, on which you can see Maddie Dunlop and Josh Bagsy. Bagsy's currently completing a Rubik's Cube, so you can see we're intelligent and talented here at Apex Rear Wing.
So we've got 3 keyboards. We have got 3 mice. We have got a switcher. We have got 4 monitors. We're going to have 3 computers running. If you just come down here really quick, you can see we've got 1 computer over here. And then we've got another one here. And then we've got a third one over here. So lots and lots of technology back here. The 21st century, isn't it? So, and then through this door over here, if you just have we probably don't need to go in there, but if you just pop over here, James, and just have a sneaky peek through there, you'll be able to see that is our Card FX bunker, where we've got Michael Zalavari doing some very important work on the whiteboard. So that's just a quick little brief look at the backstage here for the Automobilista Supercars Championship Bathurst 1000, and hope you've enjoyed.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone.
My goodness.
As my co-commentator readjusts his chair, we are...
Oh, you see, I had the carpet caught in the wheels.
Carpet court.
Carpet court. That's a store.
Goodness at me, it is. So, what have we seen tonight? Well, we've seen all sorts of stuff. We've had... we haven't had the same person on pole position for either of the 2 races tonight. We haven't had the same person win either of the 2 races tonight. Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg have been the common factor in that they both finished on the podium for the 2 races, but in different orders.
Yeah, no one's had the same position twice. So we've had different people on pole, different people in first, different people in second, different people in third. All the same people, just in different configurations. So interesting to see if we have the same thing for race numero 3.
Yep.
Took me a second there.
You got there.
To remember the 3 Spanish numbers that everybody knows.
Speaking of confusing numbers, let's take another look at the racetrack with all of the strange corner numbers that they have used, and also I got one of them wrong in this graphic.
What's that blue block in the center of what would usually be the racetrack? Right there. What's that thing?
He's pointing at something that I can't point at for you guys, but the blue in the foreground of that shot, I don't know. It's not water.
No.
It's probably a car park or something.
Ah, yes. Is this extracted from Google Earth?
Yeah, and I just flipped the colours to make it dark.
Makes sense. Very good. Well, we've talked over this because the corner numbers don't matter because they're incomprehensible.
They
even
are
more so than us.
Yeah.
But you got to see what the track looks like. That's the important bit.
Oh.
Eastern Creek, not called that
Dane
anymore.
Liccardo's car's just been tipped on its nose by the game for some reason, as everyone rushes to get into the pit lane.
Rushes to sort of hesitantly edge themselves towards the pit lane.
Well, the timer hasn't started yet, so they're not allowed to move until...
Do we have Brendan Ross? We do have Brendan Ross. Whereabouts is he? Because he has been...
He's not going to make it to the front, I don't think.
He is not going to make the front.
Looks like it's going to be Cameron Parrott who does make the front. So good job to Cameron Parrott. He's going to get some airtime as a result of that.
He is indeed. As everyone else joins the schmozzle exiting. Power control. Power and control are 2 things that you want in a car. And those are 2 things he has on the side of the car. Whether he has it in the car itself remains to be seen.
That's exactly right. So he's had a steady night, 16th in the first race for Cameron Parrott, and in the second race, he
15th.
Finished 15th, so that's one improvement.
So,
1 position improvement.
So if he finishes 14th, then he'll have had a very consistent night tonight.
In the points, either way, you finish a race in the Automobilista Supercars Championship, you qualify for a race in the Automobilista Supercars Championship and you get points. So perhaps we might need Michael Zalavari to do a whiteboard segment on that for the Bathurst 1000, if not before that, so we can get our head around the points situation, at least from the championship point of view, if it's not already sewn up by then, for Kurt Stenberg ahead of Zach Baker. First qualifying lap of this qualifying session will be set by Cameron Parrott.
Into the hairpin he goes, and nice and tidy through there. Didn't particularly bother the apex overly much, and nor did he there, but it's a lot of the corners on this racetrack you can sort of take alternate lines through, especially that last one. Whoa, as he flies over that curb. That shortcut never looks right. Heading on down now towards the last section of the track. Last sector even. The last sequence of corners. Somewhere in that schmozzle of words that I just said was a coherent sentence that I had in my brain. Unfortunately, it didn't force it out through my mouth.
Cameron Parrott to the line. It's going to be... I'm not going to guess. Sub 1 minute.
101.
He does.
Oh.
58.869. Good job for the first lap of this qualifying session from Cameron Parrott. It is currently being beaten by a number of other laps. Currently, Dane Liccardo with the fastest time. I wonder what Luke Rosella can do. He wants to improve on his qualifying if he wants to take the fight to Kurt Stenberg.
That's the only thing really holding him back, because he has to do more work in the race to get up to the lead and then try to take the lead. So,
Oh, he's got a track cut on his first qualifying lap.
Oh, that's not
Luke
good.
Rosella, so that's no good.
track cut's coming with abundance tonight, after an early disparaging remark from myself.
Yeah. About the lack of abundance.
They've seen fit to remind us all that they exist. Benjamin Dahlia is on a flyer.
Oh, that's wide.
May not be anymore. As Brody Steen takes provisional pole with a 59.1.
Good
So
job, Brody.
about
Zach Baker
oh,
immediately drops him into second with a good time,
Very good.
58.6. Still quite a long way away off the 58.25 set by Kurt Stenberg, which is the fastest qualifying lap. And 250 is the lap record, I believe, now, as a result of... Oh, Benjamin Dahlia's got the track cut. Well, we kind of expected that, didn't we? From what we saw when he went wide through the shortcut. Kurt Stenberg to the line. What can he achieve?
Kobe Williams goes second best. And Luke Rosella goes
Seventh.
fastest
As
by
Kurt Stenberg goes seventh, which isn't really fast enough.
0.2 of a second short of the record so far is Luke Rosella.
Well,
But
looking
still,
good, isn't it? for Luke
still looking
Rosella
good,
In
yeah.
these early stages in this
Ooh.
qualifying session.
It looked like Rosella and Kurt Stenberg both decided just not to go through the hairpin.
Corey hasn't entered into the pits yet.
No.
Will Newell's just coming out on his out lap.
He'd be hoping for a better result after 3 DNFs from 2 races.
Good qualifier, but just doesn't seem to be able to keep his cool in the race at this stage. I'm sure that with experience, that sort of thing will come to him if he lets it. Sean Allen currently starting a lap. Here's a guy who knows how to keep his
Oh.
cool in a race.
You need to keep your cool when you got stuff like that happen behind you. With
Yeah,
I think
he's
that was
immediately
Steve Warwick.
aborted that lap.
Oh, I can
Sorts
see
of
why he
shenanigans
aborted
going
it.
in front. That's not fair for Sean Allen. He's found himself in that melee through no fault of his own whatsoever. That's all a little bit silly.
Silly, that is.
Benjamin Dahlia coming in third.
It's a bit suspect.
Right
I
out.
think.
2, 3, 4. Well,
Time
you
for
couldn't have
another
fooled
card.
me, did you? So Benjamin Dahlia is chipping away at... He's been dropped to third.
I'll
Who was
scratch your eyes out.
Oh, he's just come up alongside Kurt Stenberg. Kurt, I think, got out of the way just in time to hopefully not cost Benjamin Dahlia any time. He was just chipping away at his PB. He's been dropped to fourth. He was third. What can he do with this lap? Is it an improvement? Jolly well isn't. Much to Benjamin Dahlia's immense disappointment. A man who has real life experience at this racetrack. Radbird, he was in the
Doesn't he?
86s, got involved in quite a scuffle. There was a bit of an incident in the 86s, bit of a pinball accident.
Oh, no. He's okay, obviously.
He's okay. No, it wasn't a dangerous accident as Brody Steen comes in.
I caught a bit of the Japanese 86 series once. I watched a couple of races of it. It looks like entertaining racing. Because I guess they're all... It's
Are they
a
a bit
spec
more
series,
souped up
so...
than the ones
Yeah,
that we have in
they
Australia?
are souped up. There's a couple of different... what am I trying to say? There's 2 different...
Classes.
Thank you.
There in the end.
There's 2 different classes. One quite... I think Jensen Button drove in the faster one, I believe.
Super GT.
Yeah.
Stenberg looks like he's on a... Oh, he's got another track cut on that lap.
Oh.
3.5 minutes left in the session.
He's got a bit of time to try to pull one together. Luke Rosella currently sitting pretty in that pole position. Zach Baker trying to confiscate that pole position like my Year 7 teacher confiscated my Game Boy Color.
He's still salty about that.
My Game Boy Advance even. I was pretty salty.
You've just made yourself a little bit younger with that Game Boy.
Game Boy Advance.
I mean, Baker doesn't improve.
I did
Kurt Stenberg's on a good lap though.
I did have a Game Boy Color. It was just that by year 7, it was Game Boy Advance time.
That wouldn't have been high school teacher.
Pokemon Ruby. No, it was year 7.
Mr. Huggy.
It was Mr. Huggy, and I went to the. I went
to the same school, people. In case
I went to.
I don't know off by heart all of his school teachers.
He had the gall to say, no, I'm going to hang on to it over the weekend because you were playing it during class.
I actually remember that.
And I went to the classroom after school and stole it in inverted commas. 5th for Kurt Stenberg.
He was up by more than that through the first sector, so he's lost time through that final sector. So 5th, this is looking good for Luke Rosella.
I would say he lost it through the second sector, but the second sector is not really long enough for you to lose any time in. Because it looks like someone's had an accident at the hairpin.
I heard someone have an accident in my ears.
David Nadich is the number that's showing on the timing screen, but it looks like people are driving through him, so I reckon that may be out of date.
So Kurt's up again on his first sector and his second sector, but it's the final sector. Maybe he just carried too much speed through the shortcut.
Yeah, he had a little bit of he had to adjust his steering through the last corner there. He had to get a bit of opposite lock because it started to slide. Maybe that's just scrubbed off a bit of speed. It still looks good. Looks very good. Yeah, and it is good enough.
That's good enough.
Good enough.
That's pretty good indeed. More than just good enough. Zach Baker doesn't look like he's able to reply on this current lap that he is on.
Yeah, Corey.
What kind of reply? Luke Rosella's in the pits. You're about to talk about Corey.
I was going to say, just Brendan Ross, Hans Brunswick, Lewis Wedding, Sean Allen, Ed Boggs, Corey, and Will Newell. None of whom setting lap times.
There's a couple of people just sort of hanging out. Newell's hanging out. Brunswick's hanging out.
I think I saw Newell putting Sean Allen. I think I saw Newell putting Sean Allen into a wall.
Sorry, just two.
In the pit lane.
David Nenadich nearly had 2 collisions. One which was would have been his fault, one that wasn't. Kurt's just continued to circulate, getting better and better. Hasn't beaten his pole time from race 2, 2:88, but this lap time that he has set before would have been good enough for pole in race 2. Got a track cut evidently on that one.
I'll tell you what, Stez, your pick for who's going to win this last race is currently looking a lot prettier than mine.
Well, Luke Rosella's in the pits, so he's not going to improve on where he is. He's not going to get pole position.
Well, Corey is currently in the pits and is in 20th. So, so regardless, your pick is still looking prettier than mine.
That's just not fair, is it?
It's just not cricket.
That's no good for Kurt Stenberg. He's been that lap, so I don't think he's too concerned about that, if I'm being honest with you about that particular thing.
Very well done.
Pretty much everyone in the top 5 is finished. Kobe Williams, who, just unbeknownst to us, very quietly, has got himself into
third place. When did that happen?
So let's see if he can improve on that. I think that's very good effort from Kobe Williams.
I think Nathan Higginson is, I think, the only one who managed to get over the line. Does not manage to improve.
Not an improvement for Kobe Williams. We've got probably Lachlan Burke is the only other car in the top 10 who's currently on a lap. Aside from Cameron Parrott
and Nathan Higginson, who's currently loitering on the exit of the last corner. I was going to say on the outer of the top 10.
Yeah, here
on
comes
the edge of the
Nathan
top 10.
Higginson right now with Lachlan Burke not too far behind him. Nathan Higginson will stay 11th. Lachlan Burke currently sat in 8th.
Stays 8th.
Now it looks like we don't have many people in this server because we only had 14 qualifiers, but we have 21 cars in the field. So that's the highest non-participation rate from a qualifying session for cars that are in the session.
Tell you what, that's going to be an interesting. It's going to be interesting watching quite a lot of very quick cars come up from the back of the grid.
Yeah, so who have we got who is out of position? We've got
Will Newell, Corey, Ed Boggs, Sean Allen, Lewis Wedding.
Yeah, Sean Allen definitely. He's way faster. Ed Boggs qualified 5th in the first race.
Corey and Will Newell.
Second race, sorry. Corey and Will Newell.
Front 2 rows. Lewis Wedding.
It's going to be a disaster.
Look forward to it.
Might keep eyes on the back of the grid.
Not usually where we've got our eyes during the races, but...
So just currently sat in a warm-up session. Not too far away from race number 3 out of 3 tonight. 22 laps. We do have a compulsory pit stop in all of these races. The pit window is fairly... What's the word I'm looking for here? It is... Generously wide.
Positioned?
Between lap 1 and 20.
Mm.
Which actually, having just read that, it is between lap 1 and 20. Poor old Nathan Higginson, I think he's going to get himself disqualified from race 2 for taking it on the last lap.
Oh, no.
Because he's not taking his pit stop unless... No, he did take another one, didn't he? No,
he took an actual pit stop during the race, and then he took another one because he had a drive-through penalty, I believe. But he did take his actual pit stop.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, because...
We saw him have a crash.
No, because...
we thought he had a pit stop, but
no, because I thought he was in the pits, and you said, no, I saw him at the entrance to the pits.
You're right, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So he won't be disqualified then.
You're
allowed to take a second pit stop.
Yes, but you need to take the first one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we cleared
that one up, didn't we? Never mind stairs. So, Nathan Higginson, you can, as you were, if you're watching this back, you have no need for concern whatsoever. Not a single car has elected to take to the racetrack during this warm-up session.
Makes it very exciting viewing for all of us.
They're appropriately warmed, all of them. "35 seconds remaining. What is your favourite anecdote of all time?
Of all time, like personal?
Oh yeah,
personal
I
anecdote.
don't want someone else's anecdote.
What's the story I tell everybody? That's a very good question. Well,
You've got 20 seconds.
It's hard to it's hard to go past. You know, it's hard to go past the Japanese, the Osaka, the Nagoya.
That's your favourite anecdote?
I'd tell a lot of people that.
Yeah. You don't get sick of telling it?
No. Just the strain and panic in your voice as you said, you're gonna be done soon. I was like, oh no, I'll be a while, and you're and I heard a door open and Bagsy laugh, and then the door closed, and then you were like, oh, I'll be back, and you just walked out of the room.
Did I ever tell you about the time my dad needed to use a Ziploc bag?
Yes, and it was labelled with his name.
Yeah.
Yep, you've told me that one.
Just
Very
imagining like, this is one of the most remote highways in the country. Just imagine, there's like a bin, and someone maybe empties it once a year, and that person is going to find one item in that bin, and it is a named turd. Goodness gracious me. Madbird?
Yep. This is the racetrack. Oh, actually, one of my favourite anecdotes is when I went to pick up my partner of nearly 6 years for our second date, and she said, "Oh yeah, your cousin says hi," and that was how I learned that she had been dating my cousin immediately before me. Adelaide.
Obviously, you're closer with your girlfriend than your cousin.
Yeah, not a cousin I have anything to do with, luckily, so it wasn't particular. I mean, it was weird, but it wasn't as weird as it could have been.
It was weird.
It was weird.
I can imagine.
It's not like it was my brother or something, like... And we're off.
Like a bucket of prawns.
In a bride's 90, to quote my mum. Kurt Stenberg on pole position once again, hoping to make it 2 wins on the trot with Luke Rosella right behind him. Zach Baker in 3rd, Brody Steen in 4th place, Benjamin Dahlia in 5th, which is much more what we're expecting to see from him qualifying wise, although there are several people out of position, as we'll get to. Dane Liccardo in 6th place.
Good job from him.
Yeah, very well done. Lachlan Burke in 7th. So he's improved, he's gained a position, so someone must have DNF'd or exited because he was 8th.
That would have been, forgetting the name, but we mentioned he was 3rd.
Kobe Williams.
Kobe Williams, that's a shame.
That is a shame.
That was a very good qualifying.
Very
for
good
him.
qualifying. David Nadich in 8th place with a Cameron Parrott in 9th place behind him. Nathan Higginson in 10th. Pretty good qualifying after all that. Steve Warwick in 11th place with Ben Hall in 12th. RSM Latino 13th and Brendan Ross in 14th. And then we have the drivers who are pretty out of position who did not partake in qualifying. We've got Hans Brunswick, we've got Sean Allen, we've got Ed Boggs, we've got Corey, we've got Will Newell, and we have got Lewis Wedding rounding out the 20 runners for this grid. And there's going to be some fast starters at the very back of the grid coming up through the field. So weather eyes will need to be peeled. That isn't... You need to keep a weather eye or keep your eyes peeled.
So
I like to mix my
car's
analogies.
just starting to grid up as we speak.
Okay, a little bit over. There we go.
Yes, he's found his way back. He's done it a few times. So it's surprising that he didn't quite get that one right.
Beautiful dusk shot of Sydney Motorsport Park.
Pretty good space for Zach Baker, as the third place qualifying car has not lined up. So that's a big shame that he hasn't made the session after such a good qualifying. Silence for the
Someone's
final
out of
race.
position. Oop. There we go.
We're all good now. The lights are on. We're about to get racing for the third time here tonight. And a drive-through penalty, a stop-go for
penalty.
Will Newell for jumping the start. Someone's been fed into the fence straight away. It's probably Will Newell.
That is Will Newell, I believe.
And it is Kurt Stenberg who briefly gets into the lead, but Luke Rosella side by side there. That is a spirited old battle going on there. And it is Luke Rosella who seems to have got the better of Kurt Stenberg after a terrific start. But there was a little bit of bumping there.
Absolute testes of steel on Luke Rosella to keep his foot in it as he dipped the tyre in the grass and had to catch a little bit of a slide. He's got Kurt Stenberg all over the back of him, but he can now try to control this pace with Zach Baker right behind. And Brody Steen, excellent start from him, up into 4th place. So very good first lap there for a couple of our runners. Kurt Stenberg down into 2nd, and your man, Luke Rosella, up into the leading position.
He's got a fair bit of pressure from behind if Kurt Stenberg finds his rhythm fairly early on in this race. He's ducking out of the slipstream early doors as Zach Baker is having a little bit of a nibble. We've got pretty much everyone cleanly through, aside from Will Newell, who has 40 seconds to the
He's
next
pulled
person.
over at the pit exit by the looks
I'm
of
a
it.
little bit concerned that he might be looking to retaliate in some form.
Looked like he fed himself into the wall, to be honest. It looks like everyone's gone past.
Yeah, he's just parked there in a dangerous spot, so I don't know why he's not retired from the race. He got the drive-through penalty for the drop start, and there is a yellow there's a flashing yellow.
Not a safety car, because
It's flashing again. It's flashing on one screen but not on the other, so I'm not sure whether that is a safety car or just a static yellow as a result of Will Newell being stuck. Oh, it's a static yellow where Will Newell is at his part of the track, and it's flashing at every other part of the track. So
well,
this
we'll
is
know
gonna
in a
be
second
interesting.
when we see the safety car trundle out and slam into Will Newell. You would know from personal experience.
Now look at that, Brody Steen's coming into the pits very, very early. Is he trying to get his pit stop out of the way in case there is a safety car?
There is a safety car.
There is a safety car.
It is going to impact. Oh,
No, there's
barely
a gap.
misses.
So Will Newell needs to get off the track right now. I don't know what he's doing. He's just left his game. He's probably just rage quit and left his game and not realised that his car is still on the track. Meanwhile, back at the front, everything is being calmed down while the cars are behind the safety car. So we saw that Brody Steen took to the pit lane before Will Newell has finally got back into his car.
He's driving into the wall.
So
Very
he's
well
had
done.
an eventful night. I can't recall a new driver doing so much to make himself known to the broadcast in such a small amount of time. There he is. I don't know what he was trying to do there, but anyway, he did that, and now he is.
So we've had a
I think
few.
he's out of the race. He has finally DNF'd.
He has
so
DNF'd. So we had
we've
a
got
few.
a
pit
lot of
calls.
cars coming into the pits just then.
So Brody Steen definitely did. I reckon everyone from Brody Steen down has pit.
Oh dear, that is. Well, that's advantage Brody Steen. because that's going to count as their compulsory pit stop. Everyone else in front of Brody Steen has missed a trick there.
And the safety car is staying out for at least another lap, so they're definitely going to catch up. It's a very short
there
lap.
goes the two ZB cars.
So they're diving in.
And also the
Ed
number
Boggs.
21 car of Ed Boggs. I think Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg are going to get mugged. Well,
I reckon.
They're not going to be able to make up that time, so...
And they've left it too long now.
Wow.
So-
Huge moments.
So
I was going to do a stock take, but it kind of seems pointless now because of all the cars that have come into the pit. So you keep commentating, and I'll see if I can see if there's anything else in the timing screen that needs to be said.
So Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg, so currently leading one and two on track, but by the time everyone is filtered around and rejoined the back of the train, they're going to have to lose 45 seconds at some stage with a pit stop, which is going to drop. At the moment, the last car on track is David Nedich, who's 20 seconds behind the lead. So at the very least, they're going to lose 20 seconds to David Nedich when they do make their pit stop. If they do decide to make it under green flag running position, green flag conditions, and it looks as if the safety car's continuing on. We can't actually see the lights, so we can't tell when they're going to be, when it's going to be coming in. At this stage, it looks as if almost everyone has pit from, so about half the field has pit from 9th down to 19th.
Yeah, basically Brody Steen is the leading car who's made a pit stop. Everyone else has pitted. Everyone in front of Brody Steen hasn't pitted.
Yeah.
So that's it's pretty clear, isn't it? It means that Brody Steen, he saw this happening before, and he jumped in ahead of anyone else before we even knew there was a safety car.
Oh,
These
so-
guys are doing it now because they know that taking the pain now is easier than taking the pain when they're at racing speeds.
Yep, so that is...
Oh, and that's
Steve Warwick.
Steve Warwick in the fence there. So what on earth happened there?
I reckon he missed the pit entry.
Changed his mind later.
Changed it, yeah, I think he made a late call.
And he can't get in there he can't get in from where he is. Unfortunately
So he's continuing on.
he's got no choice.
Oh, that's a shame.
So we'll see if we can run this replay back and yeah, was that a change of mind? He'd already driven past it, hadn't he?
He drew oh,
Maybe a bit of
lag.
He's driven into the back of someone, I think.
Back of Nathan
A bit of
Higginson,
lag,
but
yeah.
it didn't look like he actually made contact. Very strange.
That's definitely strange. But what about this race isn't strange, as Kurt Stenberg and Luke Rosella in 15th and 16th rejoin at the back of the Crocodile. So now we've got Nathan Higginson leading the race and RSM Latino in second. Those two are now the only cars, as I understand it, who have not made a pit stop.
So once it shakes out, the top four will be, or the top five will be Brody Steen, Brendan Ross, Corey, Lachlan Burke, which is not the top four I was expecting to be calling at any stage tonight.
But with Luke Rosella and Kurt Stenberg doing the pit stop now, they do give themselves an opportunity to catch up before the end of the race.
Yeah, so they've got to make a lot of overtakes stick.
But Brody Steen may well have 2 wins in 2 races tonight.
He could.
Corey could potentially.
Yeah, my
have the
man's
pace.
come up. Suddenly, my man is looking
Your
good.
guess, your pick is looking better than mine right now, so not qualifying has worked a treat for him.
Now that safety car just doesn't want to come in, hey.
No.
Goes around for another lap.
And I thought we were going to see another car
Oh,
coming
there
in.
goes Steve Warwick.
So he was the
finally
only other
able to
car
go.
who hadn't made a pit stop.
Hopefully he doesn't get any penalties for overtaking people there.
The other thing is, are they going to be tyre limited now to the end of the race?
This is a lot of time of just trundling around, not at race pace, so I imagine they should be fine.
They should be. They weren't particularly limited in the longer race last week, which was also at times 2 tyre wear.
So it should be fine.
So let's have a quick rundown of the order before we have a restart. So it is Nathan Higginson leading the race from RSM Latino, but those 2 cars have not made a pit stop, so they are going to lose a lot of positions and go right to the back. Brody Steen leads the race on net, having pit, and everyone behind him has as well. Brendan Ross in 4th place from Corey. Then we've got Lachlan Burke, Sean Allen, Hans Brunswick, Cameron Parrott, Zach Baker, Ed Boggs. Then we've got Ben Hall and David Nedich. Then it's Luke Rosella, who was leading this race early doors from Kurt Stenberg. Dane Liccardo behind him in 16th place, then Benjamin Dahlia. Steve Warwick is catching up to the back of the field and is hoping that he can do so before the end of this lap. Lewis Wedding also is down there in 19th, so perhaps he hadn't made a pit stop either, unless he's gone in for a second pit stop to get more tyres. And that is where we're at this stage, and indeed that is what Lewis Wedding has done. He's trying to go for the freshest tyres on the grid, hoping that the race isn't restarted at the end of this lap and he can catch up before they do. And so that's 2 pit stops for Lewis Wedding.
Looks as if he's going to catch them regardless, and the safety car is peeling off by the looks of it, so
yep.
Lewis is going to arrive with the warmest tyres possible, having just done basically a racing lap, and he's going to have to slam on the anchors because everyone is crawling.
Yeah, he's caught up to the back now.
And they're off. We've got a green flag. Nathan Higginson leads the field off down the pit straight into turn 1. Brody Steen holding on to that lead in inverted commas over Brendan Ross. What a confusing way to talk about this race as Corey hangs on to the back of them, and Lachlan Burke trying to make that overtake down into the hairpin is not able to do it, and Brendan Ross doing very well to stay out of the back of Brody Steen there, with RSM Latino getting in the way of Brody Steen a little bit. Brody Steen's going to want to try to make these overtakes as soon as possible.
And we've got the guys who were leading the race right up behind the 2 ZB cars, so they're trying to make up those positions that they lost by missing the trick on the pit stops. All the way back down. Side by side goes Luke Rosella with
David
the number?
Nedich.
I couldn't see the 512 or the... Have the numbers disappeared? The numbers have disappeared from the Mustangs, so that's a bit unusual. That's normally how we differentiate those cars. Meanwhile, back at the front, Corey McFarlane is all over Brody Steen for what will be the net lead of the race. Corey McFarlane potentially going down the inside, thinks better of that. We've got all sorts of personal best and fastest laps coming up on the live timing screen. It's lit up like a Christmas tree. Brody Steen holds on. RSM Latino back to 5th place, and Nathan Higginson leads the way.
Yep, he's driving in that classic Nathan Higginson style that we've seen, and he is going to struggle to hold on to that lead for very long at all as Brody Steen is hunting him down through the shortcut. Corey McFarlane all over the back of him. He is rubbing all over his rear. He is a blind man trying to read Braille on the back bumper of Brody Steen. Finally, I got to use it. And he takes a wider line through the last corner, which is going to give him a little bit of a better run.
Brody's trying to get the jump to get away from Corey, but he had Nathan Higginson in his way, who just doesn't have the grip that Brody has, and that's really not worked out at all for Brody Steen, who can't really move across because there's a little bit of overlap, although he actually has the straight line speed to pull clear ever so slightly. Brody Steen wants very much to get this move done on Nathan Higginson. Here he goes, down the inside of turn 2, but the door is shut firmly in his face. I thought he was going to outbrake Nathan Higginson there, but Nathan did a pretty good job. My goodness, it's 4 wide coming out of turn 2 with the 2ZB. Dane Liccardo in there as well. Cameron Parrott. So Luke Rosella has been passed by Kurt Stenberg. Where's Kurt gone?
Kurt's up into 9th.
He's up a lot of positions, so Luke Rosella has not been able to make the same progress. Oh dear. A bit of a shortcut there for Luke Rosella. Not the same progress. One of the Ultimate 9 cars is around. It looks like it is it Lewis Wedding? I can't quite tell. No, it wouldn't have been Lewis Wedding because he wasn't that far up. Huge shame for Brendan Ross. Meanwhile, back at the front, it's a cork in a bottle situation for Nathan Higginson. And look at the train of cars. Kurt Stenberg's on the back of this train.
Oh my God.
Kurt Stenberg's still a chance to win this race, Madbird.
He has caught up an absolute incredible amount of positions. He's got Zach Baker just in front of him, who's not going to want to give up that particular position.
Oh, here we go. A bit of bumping going on between Brody Steen and Nathan Higginson. This is a dangerous place for Brody Steen to be, because if anyone punts into the back of Nathan Higginson, then Brody Steen will get taken out. There's been an absolute nightmare going on behind. Sean Allen's involved. There's all sorts of stuff going on behind there. Oh my goodness.
I reckon that was Hans Brunswick, got spun around. Sean Allen is DNF'd. He's not happy. Oh, that is a shame. I reckon it was Hans Brunswick who's been started that. Looked like he just got a little bit of a pit maneuver in the rear. See if we can get a replay of it while things are quiet on the eastern front.
All right. Well, we'll just see. I reckon Corey's got a chance for an unabated slipstream down the main straight, so we'll just see how that plays out. Higginson safely down to 3rd. while that has all played out. So Brody Steen did a good job to get past Nathan Higginson, but what he really wanted to do was get Corey in between, but he's not managed to do that, and now Corey is overtaking Brody Steen for the lead of this race, and there he goes through down into turn 2. Brody Steen will try and fight back. Corey drives him off the racing line, but that is Brody Steen's move that he made on the first. This is the part of the track where he fought Kurt Stenberg and got the job done, and it looks like he's going to get the lead back in the same place in this particular race.
Yeah, Corey getting a little bit messy out on the grass, and that was just enough opportunity for Brody Steen to retake that position. But now Corey with a better run down into the last corner. He's going to have the inside for this, but then the outside for the actual last couple of corners.
Oh, he'll get back through here.
Swaps up the inside much better, but Brody's going to have a much better run if he can maintain his momentum. But again, he just bumps into the back of Corey, which slows him down. And I don't think he's going to be able to challenge into turn 1.
Quick replay. This is the melee that happened earlier on that we saw Sean Allen in the middle of. And it looks like Sean Allen got into the back of the Ultimate 9 car. We'll just see if we can catch a replay. And got sort of spun around.
So perhaps as DNF to penalise himself, Sean Allen.
And
then RSM Latino not helping matters, must be said.
And look, Kurt Stenberg at the back of this somehow
escapes
the seas parted for him, because currently he's in 4th place, having just dispatched Ed Boggs, and is rapidly catching up to the battle for the lead. And look at that.
Despite Lachlan Burke's rear wheels landing on his bonnet, he survived pretty much unimpeded, and he's now right behind this battle between Zach Baker and Brody Steen, who are tussling over 2nd place. Zach Baker taking a very wide line. And Brody Steen sneaks up the inside. Kurt Stenberg might sneak up the inside as well. Zach Baker may have lost 2 positions in the space of 2 corners there. It looks like he's managed to hold on to it for now. But Kurt Stenberg with the slipstream behind Brody Steen is going to have a better run through turn 1. Zach Baker's got to swing it around the outside. Oh, that is very tight.
Where's Brody Steen? Exit stage right.
Oh, no.
It's not gone at all well for Brody Steen, so that is hugely disappointing for what was looking like potentially his 2nd win. That's not going to... Oh my god, all sorts of stuff going on at the 2nd corner. What on earth just happened there?
Nathan Higginson and I think David Nanadich. Oh, and then rejoins into Cameron Parrott, I believe.
So it's hard to know where to look in this race. So this was happening just at the same time. There is Brody Steen in the back of that shot recovering, as the ZB car completely misses its braking point.
Yeah, a bit messy there from David. Just straight into the back of Nathan Higginson. And Nathan Higginson's still in the wars, as we can see on the screen there.
So let's go back to Kurt Stenberg, who's about to dispatch Ed Boggs for the final spot on the podium.
Corey is taking advantage of this, has stretched out to a 1.7 second lead over Zach Baker.
The race has gone off. The race has just gone off.
It's gone off like a bucket of prawns in a bride's nightie. Ed Boggs dispatched, as you said, by Kurt Stenberg.
Zach Baker just up the road in 2nd place. So it's, wow. It's hard to know what to say here.
Well,
really.
The chances of us getting the same 4 people in the same 4 positions are very unlikely.
This is the replay. Now, did Zach Baker get a bit of a helping hand there? I think he got pushed a little bit onto the grass there. He was very lucky not to get collected by another car.
Very lucky.
That'll be cold comfort, I'm sure, to him.
Yeah, probably won't want to take that particular present at home on the December 25th. He'd rather take a win.
I'm hoping that if we get a chance to talk to him after the race, that he'll still be carrying some of the cheerfulness from his first race.
Surely.
Win tonight. Corey McFarlane sublimely out front.
Not so sublimely. He's lost about 5-6 tenths of a second in the last couple of laps to Zach Baker.
The tyre wear will be interesting.
Yeah, he's not really, like, it must just be slightly messy driving, because he hasn't had any, like, back markers or anything. And he hasn't had any battling to worry about the last couple of laps.
Well, if Kurt Stenberg can dispatch Zach Baker really quickly, and we get to see the kind of pace that they have relative, that will be very telling indeed. Even on the last lap, when Kurt Stenberg had traffic, he was half a second quicker than Corey McFarlane. Side by side now.
Just managing, a little bit of a shoulder barge from Zach Baker. Just put Kurt Stenberg off a little bit, but Kurt just has this way of being able to slide up the inside at that last corner at the very last moment.
This is why he's the champion-elect. 2019 ASC champion. Nothing went his way last year, but it's all going his way this year.
Zach Baker defending, and Kurt makes a very late decision to go for the inside, it looked like.
And thankfully for him, Zach Baker also went very deep into the corner and gave him quite a bit of room, because they both, well, if the Apex was expecting any visitors, it didn't get one.
No. Apex is still waiting for the doorbell to ring, as Kurt Stenberg has a bit of a swapper going through the shortcut.
So 1.6 seconds is the gap between Corey McFarlane and Kurt Stenberg. And we've been treated to a show, really. Luke Rosella has not been able to make the same progress. Down in 5th place. If the race had gone sort of to script without the safety car, I think we can safely say that this would have been a pretty good head-to-head battle between Kurt Stenberg and Luke Rosella. But it's a very, very different race after the safety car. Kurt Stenberg's ability to make his way through the traffic cleanly, despite all of the shenanigans going on in front of him and around him, that has been the difference.
Yeah, Luke Rosella only, 3 seconds behind Kurt Stenberg, but that's a big 3 seconds when there's, 4 cars in between you, or 2 cars in between you.
He's not that far behind yet.
It really isn't, but Kurt was able to make those positions quicker and cleaner.
A couple of crucial little maybe 50-50 things where Luke Rosella maybe thought that being careful was the better option, which is even more impressive that Kurt Stenberg is trying to win a championship here. And you would have forgiven him for thinking that discretion was the better part of valor. And maybe backing out of a few 50-50 decisions. But nonetheless, here he is, 1 second off the lead.
Well, we've got 5 laps to go.
Looks like Luke Rosella might be able to get this move done here on Ed Boggs down into turn 1. A very good job indeed. Still on for a podium potentially if he can reel Zach Baker in. Has slightly newer tyres, but 1 lap extra under safety car probably wouldn't make too much difference.
Kurt Stenberg 4/10ths quicker than Corey on the last lap.
Yeah, there's going to be a change of position for the lead if Kurt Stenberg's going to have anything to say about it. What else is going on in this race? Been hard to tear our eyes off all of the shenanigans that we've been seeing. Ed Boggs is up 13 positions from where he started. It's also Lewis Wedding currently circulating in 8th place. He's done a very good job. Maybe that's worked out, getting the fresh tyres on the last safety car lap, coming in again. It seems to have worked out in his favour, even though everyone else had fresh tyres too. But just a tiny little bit more edge grip. This battle for the lead has caught up very quickly. I was padding for time, and Kurt Stenberg has erased that lead that Corey McFarlane had over him.
Yeah, Kurt Stenberg took that time and ripped it up and said, I don't need this. I need that lead. And he is right on the back of Corey McFarlane as they continue. They're about halfway through lap 19 of 22. So if Corey's able to just defend, but it doesn't look like he is. Kurt Stenberg's up the inside. Going into this last sequence of corners, we saw Corey put on a masterclass of overtaking Luke Rosella through here, and he's going to try to do it again up the inside, but Kurt covers it off, which is what no one ever does to Kurt. Kurt always seems to be able to poke his nose up there, and just like that, the positions have changed.
That was clinical.
And based on the lap times they've been doing, Corey is not going to be able to have an answer for this, but we can hope. 3 laps yet to go. Corey is still in this, and if he's able to have a dive down into the hairpin, which he's definitely going to try to, into turn 3, gets up the inside, barely gets it stopped in time. He's going to be alongside Kurt Stenberg, but has to slot in behind him.
Turning into a dismal race for Race on Oz, with Brody Steen down in 9th place and a DNF for Sean Allen, while Zach Baker for ZB is in 3rd, and decent points as well for David Nenadich in 12th. So that's a huge turnaround from the first race, where Race on Oz ate into that little margin that ZB has over them.
So Corey's still in this, still on the back of Kurt Stenberg as they come out of the last corner. He's going to get slipstream all the way down into turn 1. And
David
oh,
Nenadic. Just cut to that because he was having a battle with the Ultimate 9 guys, and he has unfortunately come a cropper. We'll just have a quick replay of that, and then we'll cut back to the leading battle. But this was, he was down, up in, what did I say, 13th place, fighting with the ZB car of David Nenadic, sorry, fighting with the Ultimate 9 car.
he is David Nenadic.
So it's not gone at all well for David Nenadic.
As Corey is now alongside as they go into the shortcut. That's going to be an airplane crash, and he wisely decides to dip out of it. But he is going to set up for a last lap lunge. Can he do a Brody Steen, take that lead back on the last lap of this race?
Do you think he's left something in hand?
I would hope so. He had a decent run down into the hairpin on the previous lap. But the only thing is Kurt Stenberg also has a little bit of slipstream from that car ahead, which I think is RSM Latino.
That is RSM Latino. So 1 lap to go in this race, and Kurt Stenberg leads the way. He's already won once tonight, so he's got the taste of victory. Corey won this time last week. He's got that taste of victory. There's a battle going on for 6th and 7th between Benjamin Dahlia and Dane Liccardo, which looks hot to trot. Dane Liccardo we know is a fairly vigorous defender, and Benjamin Dahlia with real-life racing experience, so let's see how that one trots out. Back at the lead, it looks like Kurt Stenberg's got a few car lengths in hand.
Yeah, I reckon it's a bit of a messy run through the
very
shortcut.
messy run for both of them.
Oof.
And he's got the grass.
He's got a
Drive-through penalty for Kurt Stenberg, which is going to result in a time penalty at the end of this race, unless he can serve it. I don't think he can serve it on the last.
No, you can't serve it on the last lap.
But it gives you a huge time penalty. So
it's an extra lap, I'm pretty sure.
That's Corey winning the race in the most bizarre way possible.
That must have been track cuts.
Yeah.
Just ran out of track cuts.
It was on his last track cut, and so Corey will win the race. Kurt Stenberg won't be on the podium.
He'll be relegated to 16th place.
Wow.
Or to the back of the grid. I'm pretty sure it adds a lap to your time.
Yeah, it has indeed done that. We'll wait to see how it all shakes out in the wash. But what a bizarre way.
What a bizarre way for my pick.
For your pick to come right. Luke Rosella was on the podium, so I wasn't, he recovered well from a bad strategy call. But Corey, with a fantastic strategy call, held on. He didn't quite have the pace for Kurt in the end, but Kurt just used too many track cuts in his fight up through the field. Zach Baker with 2nd place. He'll be richly pleased with that.
Well, what did you say at the top of the night stairs? You reckon Kurt Stenberg would win one race?
And he did.
And he did.
So I got that call right. So what a bizarre end to... what a fantastic night of racing. We've had fantastic racing last week. And again, Sydney has delivered a different version of the track. And this short version of the track has definitely paid dividends, as all of the clones of the Ultimate 9 cars go past Corey, who celebrates a victory. He was very nonchalant in victory last week. It was hard to get too much enthusiasm out of him. Well, Michael Zalavari did his best. Luke Rosella sets the fastest lap of the race again. Just couldn't really do too much with it. So Ed Boggs in 4th. Then we had Dane Liccardo in 5th. That's a good finish for him. I think that might be his best finish in ASC. He managed to hold off Benjamin Dahlia. There might be a story there, because Benjamin Dahlia was very close to Dane Liccardo as they started the last lap, and there's 4 seconds, so I don't know what. Well, I'll wait to pass judgment as to what happened there, because I haven't seen anything. Lewis Wedding, great job from him, 7th place. Brody Steen, he'll be disappointed with 8th, I should think, after winning in race 1. Lachlan Burke. Hans Brunswick rounds out the top 10. He had his teammate Benjamin Ross behind him. Steve Warwick in 12th. That's a good points position for the sole Warwick driver tonight. We didn't see Colin tonight, so I'm sure he'll watch along tomorrow. And then behind we had Cameron Parrott, Benjamin Hall, David Nenadic, RSM Latino, and Nathan Higginson, with Kurt Stenberg provisionally classified in 18th place after getting that drive-through penalty, which just adds a lap, basically, to your time. Sean Allen DNF'd.
I'm not laughing at Kurt Stenberg. We've just got vision of Brody Steen's car doing a disco inside one of the Ultimate 9 cars, and it's bringing me some joy. But my goodness, what a chaotic end to that race. I'm not entirely sure what to... Oh, I mean, congratulations to Zach on another good podium. He was on for a podium regardless of what happened, but getting bumped up to second
And Luke
certainly
Rosella,
doesn't
only
help.
guy to finish on the podium in all 3 races.
Very consistent. Very
I'm sure he would have been disappointed with the way race 3 panned out, because I reckon he was in with a shot at winning that race before the safety car.
Well, Brody Steen was in the box seat following the safety car because he was the first one to think this is a good opportunity to get my pit stop out of the way, and then just didn't shake out that way. Took a couple of little shunts and some harsh battling, and he dropped down into 8th place, which is not where he probably was thinking he was going to be when he was looking at the back of that safety car.
So we're just waiting to see if we can get some of the drivers up into the broadcast chat for some post-race interviews. But while we wait for that, Madbird, what was your highlight of the night?
Highlight of the night, Brody Steen overtake on the last lap on Stenberg for the win. It's hard to beat that, really. Like I don't want to say I didn't think he could do it, but I was like, it's the last lap. It's never going to happen. And then he just managed to grit it out, and he didn't. It wasn't an easy overtake. He had to hang on to it for a few corners, and he just managed to outdrive Kurt Stenberg for that lap, and found himself in the lead of his very first race win. What about yourself, Stairs?
Yeah, I find it hard to go past that as well. It was
just made me smile.
Yeah, and especially when it's someone like Brody, who's been at this in this series since the very beginning, and he's been there or thereabouts, but never quite managed to come together. So it was interesting that we actually talked about that just before the first race, that Brody Steen hadn't won a race yet, and well, what do you know? He does it.
What do you know?
So we've been joined by Kurt Stenberg in the broadcast, Madbird, so we'll have a bit of a chat to him. So Kurt, you had the pace tonight, 2 pole positions, and it looked like 2 victories, but that last one just slipped away from you right at the end, mate.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself. I deliberately got past Zach there and pushed on because I thought I had the pace to get Corey, but I didn't know how many tyres were going to go. And as soon as I got in front of him, I thought, we'll just slow it up here and, hold him up a bit. And then the last lap, I didn't want him obviously to get any of a go at me. And then into that chicane, I've made a bundle of it, and I've got 2 track cuts on the same corner. And yeah, I got a few at the start from all the shenanigans. So yeah, not ideal.
I said early on in the night that it seemed like the track cuts were very lenient around here, and then it seemed that for the rest of the night I was proven wrong. Was it mainly that the shortcut section, that chicane, that was causing the issues?
Yeah, it was mainly the chicane. I think the track cuts were pretty fair there. They're pretty lenient, but obviously when you're going through there side by side with people, that was where the problems were for me. Because you're trying to give everyone room and not run off the road yourself. So yeah.
Still though, you can't be too upset with 2 podiums and 1 race win out of the night. And 2 pole positions, so still a pretty decent return on your investment as it was, and still decent points haul in your battle with Zach Baker.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and I'm just happy to actually have pace. I'm not going to lie, I know I won the race last week, but I've struggled for outright speed, especially in qualifying, which has been a thing, and to actually get 2 poles tonight shows that we've got a bit of outright speed. So now we've got that, and we've got the racing, that the race pace, that makes it pretty good. If you can do both those things, it makes it easy to win, let's say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations again, Kurt. Stairs, I think you have the man that we both were saying made us smile in race 1, Stiggy / Brody Steen.
Yes, Brody Steen joins us now, and well, we won't talk about race 3 or race 2, but race 1, Brody Steen, congratulations. What a win.
Oh, thanks, guys. It's a long time coming. 2.5 years of trying, and it's finally happened. I'm not the Nick Heidfeld of ASC anymore.
Well, Nick Heidfeld, like yourself, is a very lovely gentleman, but you have got one up on him there. Tell us about that last lap battle with Kurt Stenberg. It looked like he had the pace, he got past you, but you got him back.
Oh, I knew early on when I saw the angry lead pack having a big battle that if we got the strategy right there, we could be in this for the win. And so as soon as I saw Kurt come in very early, I thought, oh, this could be on here. Then the guys tried to minimise the undercut the next lap, so I decided to stay out about 2 more laps after that. Got out into some clear track and fresh tyres, managed to get up to the back of Stenny. And then I guess his tyres were gone by the time I got there. Had to have a big dive into turn 2 and somehow pulled it off. Got through at turn 4 with the nose in front. And then just had to park the bus from there.
And
I have to say my leg was shaking more than Christian Horner on the pit wall.
Well, park the bus you did, and it made us both smile very much in the commentary box. And it was funny because just before the first race, we were saying, we were going through the grid and we were saying, Brody Steen unfortunately hasn't had a race win yet, and well, you very quickly fixed that. So thanks for that, and congratulations once again. Must be very nice after being such a long time coming.
Oh, sure is. I have to say, thanks for the opposite of the commentator's curse there. It's not very often that happens.
No, yes, the reverse commentator's curse, maybe that's a new thing. We'll see if we can pull that one out.
You need to keep it up.
Absolutely. Well, we did, this is the thing. Unfortunately, we called your strategy as being a very good one in race 3, but unfortunately that kind of all unraveled. But you were the first to
it was just a bit awkward.
It was a bit awkward, but you were obviously thinking you had that first thought to get into the pits, and everyone else did that after you. So that put you in the best position. It just didn't work out after that.
Yeah, I realised as soon as the restart happened, I needed to get past Higo as soon as possible. And to his credit, he put up a amazing defence. Could not find a way past him for 2 laps, and then by that time, the quick guys had already got through the field.
Yes, it was an.
And then just a bit unfortunate incident there with Stenny. He just got in the draft there and tried to go too wide with Zach, and I guess he's got a bit too ambitious. He's got into my rear bumper, and then I'll just get out in the weeds and lost control from there. And to his credit, he got on the radio immediately and apologised, so that's something I can really respect about Stenny.
Well, yeah, and then in the end of the day, he got another track cut and ended up behind you anyway. So it's
it's not the way I wanted to see him finish behind me, to be honest. But
definitely not.
To his credit, he was so apologetic straight away and admitted fault. And at the end of the day, we're here just to have a bit of fun. We're not here for sheep stations like some people think.
Absolutely, and that's the sort of sportsmanship that we love to see. And you guys Kurt Stenberg, of course, as a former champion and looking like he might be another champion of ASC and admin of this, is one who leads by example, and yourself, Stiggy, who has been racing in the series since the very beginning, also leading by example there as well. So it's great to see you talk about that sort of sportsmanship, and it's also great to see you notch your first win. So congratulations once again.
Yeah, thanks guys. Looking forward to going back and watching the broadcast tomorrow night when it goes live.
Absolutely. We can't wait to bring it to you. Or by the time you're watching this again, then it will be up.
By the time you get to this conversation, you'll have watched it. So congratulations again.
Exactly. And of course, to those of you watching, thank you very much indeed for watching. So we are back on the air for us personally for the next Sydney round for the main series in 2 weeks' time. We've got Super 2 next week, but the main series comes back to Sydney for its 4th week in a row in... Let's bring the calendar up so I don't have to try and remember the date. In 2 weeks' time, so that'll go to air on the 23rd of November, so that'll be our final time at Sydney, and I thought we'd be getting a bit tired of it by the time we've had 5 races at Sydney, but I'm keen for that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With the racecraft that we've had tonight, and the infusion of new drivers, some excellent racing, and a little bit of drama as well. All it's all a spicy recipe for a tasty lasagna and of racing. And I'm very excited to come back for the leftovers. Come 2 weeks time, and then the Super 2 will be on next week, I believe.
Yes, keep your eyes peeled if there's a broadcast from that. I'm sure that the lads will let you know. Kurt Stenberg and Colin Warwick have been doing the Super 2 broadcast, but I won't throw them in it in case they weren't planning to do a broadcast for it. Maybe Kurt can shed some light for us on that now.
Yeah, guys, there will be a broadcast next week, assuming that Cole's all good. I mean, there'll definitely be one. I'll be there. I don't know who'll be joining me, but we'll sort that out next week.
Excellent.
There you go. So I haven't just dropped you in it, so appreciate that. So tune in next week for Super 2 action, and then again the week after that for the final Sydney round for the main series before we head into Bathurst month, December. Woof, I think that's it.
That seems like enough for me.
Yep, we haven't been with the race winner from race 3, Corey McFarlane, has not graced us with his presence, nor has Luke Rosella, the triple podium getter, or Zach Baker, the dual podium getter, but we offer them our sincere congratulations and many thanks indeed as well to Kurt Stenberg and Brody Steen for having a chat to us post-race, Matt.
Absolutely, and congratulations again to Brody Steen for his maiden win, and to Stenberg for his 2 podiums.
2.5 wins.
2.5 wins, yeah.
Sorry, 1.5 wins. You gave him an extra one.
You gave him an extra one because there's the Steen starts with an S, so Steen, Sten, close.
We're labouring the point. Yeah.
We are, aren't we?
Well,
I reckon we should wrap it up.
We might just do that. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching tonight. We will see you next time. Bye for now.
See you later.
I'm
Cheers,
gonna be
guys.
honest now, fuck it, if it was anybody else, the last corner I would have had a fucking huge dive. I wasn't happy to be losing the lead. I was not happy to be losing the lead of the race,
Oh, I knew you wouldn't have been impressed.
but at the same time I'm like, I'm not gonna take him out for it, because I'd feel fucking terrible.
Oh, you
like
don't
the
know
worst
how
person
much I was
alive if I
biking
took
the
you
bus
out.
there.
Like, I was like, oh, if it was Will Newell,